Chapter 396. Seeing the Li fire essence heading straight for him, the demonic emperor instantly had a bad premonition. Without a second thought, he used the power of heaven and earth to form a domain, hoping to keep it at bay. However, as soon as the Li fire essence entered his domain, the demonic emperor instantly regretted it. Boom! Flames exploded like a nuclear bomb detonating in the sky, with the power of heaven and earth igniting. The demonic emperor's domain instantly transformed into a sea of fire. By fusing with a thread of vermilion sparrow essence crafted from the vermilion birdstone egg, the already advancing Li fire essence, following the great sun golden body scripture, took a qualitative leap. Now, with the tremendous support of fire power and the power of heaven and earth, it was terrifying. As the domain was set ablaze, the engulfed demonic emperor reacted quickly, trying to escape at once. But before he could, he realized with horror that the burning flames had entered his body. Instantly, his bloodline was aflame as if it were volatile fuel that ignited at a touch. Ah! What kind of flame is this? Screams came from within the sea of fire, striking fear into the hearts of the other demonic emperors. One of them reacted swiftly, manipulating the power of heaven and earth into an immense flood, attempting to extinguish the blaze. But once the flood water entered the blazing domain, it too ignited, not only failing to save the demonic emperor but instead fueling the fire. The domain becoming a sea of fire was indeed a spectacular sight, but the process was short, lasting only a few breaths. As the power of heaven and earth burned out, the range of the fire rapidly decreased, eventually revealing the demonic emperor wrapped in flames. Seeing the miserable state of that demonic emperor, the remaining 6 fell silent. All that could be seen was his scorched body, no longer bearing his former appearance. And as the last wisp of flame died out, the Li fire essence turned back into a little bird and returned to Su Nan's side. Everyone watched the body of the demonic emperor disintegrate into ashes. An emperor-level demon, just like that, was burned alive. Compared to the 4 demonic emperors from before, this one torched by the Li fire essence met the most tragic end. Though the previous 4 were critically injured by Su Nan's strike and hurled into the divine soil, they were merely severely hurt and incapacitated, not dead. That was a demonic emperor worth 60 points of demon power. Su Nan certainly wouldn't waste that by killing him outright in reality. After the 4 demonic emperors fell into the divine soil, his avatar had quietly collected them into the mountain and water gourd, to be dealt with one by one after the corresponding daily tasks refreshed. At present, the death of the demonic emperor ignited by the Li fire essence was beyond his control. Hiss! What in the world is that flame? How could there be such a terrifying flame in this world? Yet another demonic emperor fell, and the remaining 6 all inhaled sharply in fear, eyeing the grand illusion of the giant Buddha with a hint of dread. If the initial defeat of the 4 had made them wary, this spectacle now truly instilled terror in their hearts. Run! The 6 demonic emperors exchanged glances. Having witnessed Su Nan's fearsome methods, they had no thoughts left of capturing him to uncover his identity. They were lucky just to avoid being blasted to death by him. The 6 demonic emperors reacted swiftly, scattering and fleeing in different directions. Su Nan had no intention of letting them escape. While the effects of his racial talent were still active, he unleashed the strength of all 3 of his rolls, once again gravely wounding another demonic emperor. Thereafter, with Universe in the sleeve deployed, he captured 2 more demonic emperors in front of a stunned crowd. The limit of his Universe in the sleeve was 3 early-stage emperor levels, but Su Nan couldn't afford to use up all 3 spots. He had to save one for the demon beast that would soon arrive. Out of 11, now only 3 demonic emperors remained. Seeing this, the 3 fugitives felt even more terrified, their souls nearly leaving their bodies. They weren't considering why Su Nan was so powerful, their sole thought was to flee. In the void, Umbrella Girl held the bone umbrella while Su Nan stood beneath it, watching the 3 demonic emperors fleeing. He calmly said, "Umbrella Girl, I'll leave the rest to you, just beat them half to death." Having executed consecutive techniques, his power drained too much. Even with the life essence's recovery, he felt somewhat powerless. With another demon beast yet to confront, he naturally couldn't squander his strength on these demonic emperors. "Leave it to me, Master," Umbrella Girl chirped excitedly. As she spoke, the young girl tossed the bone umbrella which, crossing the void, instantly appeared above a demonic emperor's head. Under the bone mountain, the swiftly fleeing demonic emperor suddenly felt as if he plunged into an ice cave, his entire body chilled, as a great sense of crisis engulfed him. Not good. The demonic emperor didn't hesitate to change direction, but in the next instant, it was as if invisible divine light poured down from the void, that light sharp as knives and swords, bearing fierce terror. Ah! A scream echoed in the air, followed by the demonic emperor's blood gushing out as he plummeted from the sky. Hearing the scream, the remaining 2 demonic emperors turned pale, filled with extreme regret for coming here. The 2 demonic emperors fled for their lives, but their fate was already sealed. The celestial demon bone umbrella, now replenished with 80,000 drops of mortal-grade essence blood and 8,000 drops of spirit-grade essence blood, was fearsome. If its power were fully unleashed, claiming it matched the full force of a late-stage emperor grade would hardly be an exaggeration. Such power, enhanced by the celestial demon bone umbrella itself, may struggle to annihilate a middle-stage emperor grade being, but was more than enough to obliterate 3 early-stage emperor levels. Under the control of Umbrella Girl, the celestial demon bone umbrella became a deadly weapon, and the 2 remaining demon emperors couldn't avoid being severely injured in the end. At this point, as the last 3 demon emperors fell, taken into Sunan's avatar hidden in the void and absorbed into the mountain and water gourd, the crisis brought about by the demon clan this time came to an end. Heaven and earth fell silent. The people in the divine soil below stared blankly at this scene, their minds somewhat crashed. What had they seen? 11 demon emperors, just like that, had been dealt with? Is it over? Were those demon emperors that weak? From the start of the battle to the resolution of all 11 demon emperors, the process took only half a minute. Who could have imagined that a moment ago, the 11 demon emperors together were trying to kill Sunan's Buddha avatar, and the next, there was a shocking reversal of fortunes. We won. The Buddha has won. Invincible. The Buddha is invincible. After a moment of dead silence, everyone came back to their senses, as if they had escaped from death, and burst into deafening cheers. Inside the Great Hero Treasure Hall, Zixu stared blankly at the avatar still maintaining the appearance of the Buddha and couldn't help but mutter. How can this damn thing be so strong? Now it's over. I'm afraid I'll never be able to escape from this damn thing's clutches. Ying Gao, Old Goat and a few other demon beasts looked at each other, and while shocked, they began to doubt. Was that really the master they knew? When had their master become so powerful? The news reached the game in no time, and when the players of the 12 states learned that the 11 demon emperors had been dealt with, they were all stunned. 11 demon emperors were dealt with in a moment. Really? Has the crisis in the real world been resolved? Are you kidding? Is that Buddha that strong? Some questioned, some disbelieved, and even some ridiculed those who were spreading the news. But as more and more people entered the game from the real world and brought the news with them, the players couldn't help but believe it. Who exactly is that person? Could it be that our world really once had the presence of immortals and Buddhas? In Great Capital City, within the secret command center. Through satellite footage, those present had already become restless, staring fixedly at the images on the big screen, breathing rapidly. Is it over? Have we survived the crisis? Some couldn't believe their eyes and looked at others, asking incredulously. Although there were still many demon beasts within Hua country's borders, including emperor-level great demons, these were nothing compared to the many demon emperors. Now that the 11 demon emperors had been effortlessly killed, those demon kings, upon receiving the news, would probably not even need to be fought, they'd likely flee right away. The outcome came so suddenly and easily that it made them feel like they were dreaming. Some nodded, wanting to respond. At that moment, someone else noticed something and said, "No, it's not right." Previously, after the Buddha made his move, he would leave, but now he hasn't. Hearing this, everyone frowned and observed carefully. In the image, Sunan's Buddha avatar looked towards the void above Mount Song, as if waiting for something. What is he waiting for? Everyone burst out with the question. Soon, they got their answer. They saw space twist above Mount Song, and a spatial channel abruptly appeared. Immediately afterward, billowing black fog surged out from the channel. At last, on Mount Song, Sunan watched the emerging channel, ready to take action. Now there was no causality between him and that demon beast, and to use the art of fate, he still needed to establish causality. But this was simple, the demon beast was not a member of the heavenly race separated by time and space, even without using the fate fishing rod, establishing causality was easy, as all it took was an interaction for causality to be established. Demonic chi rolled out torrentially from the space channel, and the next moment, a gaunt male figure appeared from the channel. I am free. At last, I have escaped my bind. After 10,000 years, feeling the connection to the demon abyss again, the demon beast rejoiced. Then, it discovered something, and couldn't help expressing its surprise. Hey! Such a strong vitality of heaven and earth, where is this place? Suppressed by the formation, he only knew that the vitality was recovering, not knowing anything about the spatial channel. Just now, the formation suppressing him seemed to have been impacted by some force and suddenly shattered. He didn't have time to think and instinctively rushed out from the broken formation, ending up here. A demon beast. That's a demon beast. All demon emperors had been dealt with, and quite a few players who had entered the game to avoid them had exited. Among these people were some who had encountered demon beasts, and they instantly recognized the demon beast that emerged from the spatial channel. What? This is a demon beast? Upon hearing this, everyone exclaimed in shock. Even if they hadn't seen a demon beast, they had heard of its horror. But then, looking at the giant Buddha, they all relaxed a bit inside. What can a demon beast do? Our Buddha is the nemesis of demon beasts. This guy dares to descend right above the Buddha's head. It's just his bad luck. That's right, even if this demon beast is also emperor level, it only has the fate of being suppressed in front of the Buddha. Just watch, very soon this demon beast will regret descending into this world. The crowd was not panicked, instead, they watched the demon beast with great interest, wanting to see its end. The demon beast naturally noticed Sunan's avatar transformed into Buddha, but it did not take it seriously, and didn't even consider Sunan worth looking at. At this moment, the effect of Sunan's racial talent had passed, and his aura had plummeted. Even with the blessing of the supreme divine soil, he was only at king level. As a once demon god, he had absolute confidence in his own strength, not to mention Sunan was only at king level. Even if he were emperor level, he would not take him seriously. Moreover, with the help of the heavenly and earthly vitality, the demonic chi from the demon abyss surged forth, and his strength was rapidly recovering. Ha ha ha, just after escaping from that wretched place, I can quickly regain my strength, saving a lot of time. It really is heaven helping me. The demon beast laughed heartily, in a very good mood. But at the next moment, a hand, condensed by the power of heaven and earth, struck at him. The one who acted was naturally Sunan. His intention was to establish causality with the demon beast. A casual attack didn't cause any harm to the demon beast, but it achieved its purpose. Seeing the causality appearing on his body, Sunan immediately employed the art of fate. 500 points of demon race's luck, 500 points of the demon race's luck, a total of 1000 points of luck were consumed. The effect was stark, the rapid recovery of his strength was instantly halted. Not only that, but his aura began to subtly decrease. What's going on? My luck. With the halt in the recovery process, the demon beast's expression instantly turned ugly, filled with doubt inside. Suddenly, it thought of something and abruptly turned to look at the transformed Buddha. Its expression turned ferocious as it raged. It's you. You, this ant, are behind this. The demon beast was furious. Without any hesitation, it unleashed a tide of demonic chi, directly attacking the avatar. However, it saw the avatar wave its hand, invoking the universe in the sleeve, and the demon beast was immediately drawn into the universe in the sleeve. Peace returned to heaven and earth once more, and Sunan was very satisfied. Not bad, that makes the second emperor level demon beast. If I refine this demon beast with the Sky Demon Devouring God Sutra, just one more emperor level demon beast will allow the Sky Demon Devouring God Sutra to reach the 5th level. Sunan had a premonition that the Sky Demon Devouring God Sutra would be the quickest technique for him to reach emperor level, and this wouldn't take too long. Haha, I told you so, that guy was just delivering himself on a platter. So strong. With the Buddha here, even if the spatial channel is completely opened, our world will not fall. The crowd cheered once again, a mass of incense fire power converged. At this moment, many people began to truly believe in the Buddha that Sunan had transformed into, from the bottom of their hearts. After dealing with the demon kings and the demon beast, Sunan didn't relax. What came next was the main event. He was waiting, and the others who didn't understand were also waiting. A few minutes later, anomalies appeared in heaven and earth, and the huge silhouette of the 8-winged celestial clan manifested in the void. What level of existence is that? Why is it so terrifying? The frightful aura of the 8-winged celestial clan pervaded, as though heaven and earth were about to collapse, causing ordinary people to suffocate instantly, their faces turning pale. Players were not much better. Looking at the celestial clan, they all felt as though they were nothing but ants. Strong. Extremely strong. In the presence of the apparition of the 8-winged celestial clan expert, they couldn't entertain any thoughts of resistance, and at this moment, they finally understood what Sunan was waiting for. Involuntarily, they looked forward to it, hoping for Sunan to reveal his divinity once more. Chapter 397. The Secret of Chi Luck. Could this be an angel? No way, our Hua country has the Buddha, and now even angels have appeared. It's not an angel. This anomaly also appeared in the demon world within the game, it's just that the one before had 6 wings, while this one has 8 wings. Someone realized something and couldn't help but exclaim. Hearing this, the others also thought of the posts on the forum, their expressions changing. This being, like those demons, comes from within the game? What does this mean? It means that the being is not an angel from the myths of the Western real world, but an invader from the game. As the powerful person from the heavenly race appeared, Sunan's avatar stared at the vast shadow without any hesitation and instantly took out the fate fishing rod and cast it out. An invisible fishing line and hook materialized and entered the void. In an instant, it hooked onto the shadow of the white-winged celestial clan member. Causality established. Perceiving something amiss, the member of the heavenly race glanced through the void, their gaze landing on Sunan's avatar. Sunan's mind was tense. He dared not hesitate and immediately performed the art of fate. He certainly couldn't wait for the 8-winged member of the celestial clan to make a move, whether it was the loss of an avatar or the loss of a straw man substitute, neither outcome was something he wanted to see. A full 1,000 points of the human clan's luck were expended. Now, the 3,000 points of chi luck that his 3 rolls had gained from their breakthrough were instantly reduced to only 100 points of the demon race's chi luck and 300 points of the demon clan's chi luck. And in that moment, his avatar moved. In the eyes of all the onlookers, the transformed Buddha suddenly threw a punch at the colossal shadow of the 8-winged celestial clan member. Golden light gleamed brilliantly, and to everyone watching, this punch carried unparalleled strength. Only Sunan himself knew that this punch, though it seemed terrifying, was merely for show. His real aim was just to let people know that it was he who had taken down the 8-winged member of the heavenly clan. Following the punch, the avatar didn't even bother to check the results, and his figure slowly faded away as if he had just done something insignificant. No one knew that Sunan quickly retracted his avatar and immediately used the game bracelet to directly enter the game, not giving the heavenly clan expert any chance to lock onto him. Last time, during his foreknowledge, he had been struck by the heavenly clan expert's dying blow and only escaped disaster by using a straw man substitute. Naturally, he wouldn't wait for them to make a move this time. Sunan vanished as if fleeing, unaware that his action this time brought surprise and suspicion to many beings. Arctic region. Over 20 powerful members of the Destiny Society gathered here. 2 middle-aged members said respectfully to the old man before them, "Fifth Ancestor, why have you come personally?" The one addressed as Fifth Ancestor snorted with dissatisfaction, "Humph. It's because you useless lot couldn't handle a simple task. It's bad enough that it took so much time without success, but to have someone come knocking on our door because of it. We've even lost the hard-won holy artifact, and now that resurrected lord has been killed, you've greatly disappointed this old man." The more the Fifth Ancestor spoke, the angrier he became, nearly reaching the point of slapping the 2 middle-aged members to death. The 2 were dripping with cold sweat and didn't even dare to breathe too loudly for fear of further angering the 5th Ancestor and getting killed by a slap. As the 5th Ancestor was about to continue, suddenly, everyone noticed something and immediately looked up. In the void, the figure of the 8-winged member of the heavenly race emerged. That is, everyone stared at the shadow of the heavenly race, their faces filled with shock. Only the 5th Ancestor, aware of something, revealed excitement and anticipation in his eyes, that Lord has finally acted. Prepare to take over this world. He was full of confidence, obviously knowing what the arrival of the 8-winged member of the heavenly race signified. Hearing this, the others also thought of the same thing and their eyes lit up expectantly. However, the next moment brought a shock that left them speechless. The 8-winged heavenly race member surrounded by flames erupted in the void, while thunder also struck them. At first, they thought this was an anomaly caused by the heavenly race powerful person, but then they all saw fear and anger appear on the previously indifferent face of the heavenly race member. The 8-winged heavenly race member tried to extinguish the flames on his body and resist the striking thunder, but he couldn't do anything. The flames seemed to burn from within, reducing him to ashes, and the thunder was like swords piercing through him, each strike puncturing his body. What is happening? Everyone understood what was happening, but seeing the horror on the face of the 8-winged member, they all felt a bad premonition. They looked on helplessly, wanting to do something but ending up doing nothing. This process didn't last long, and after a few breaths, the eight-winged celestial clan member's body exploded under the roaring thunder and turned into a wisp of azure smoke under the flames. Between heaven and earth, the presence of the eight-winged heavenly clan member disappeared, returning to the previous calm state. The Lord has fallen? The eyes of all the Destiny Society members met, each thinking a thought they found absurd. The Emperor level 5th ancestor, in particular, was filled with shock and murmured, "Impossible. How could that Lord have fallen just like that?" He looked at the void in disbelief, hoping to see a miracle happen. But after several minutes had passed, the figure of the eight-winged member of the heavenly clan did not reappear. The others had already come to their senses by this time. Although they didn't understand what had happened, they had to accept the fact that the eight-winged member of the heavenly clan had fallen. "Fifth ancestor, what should we do?" someone asked. "Leave. Quickly, we can't stay in this world any longer. Let's move to the demon world and figure it out from there," urged the fifth ancestor, swiftly leading the others away. At the same time, in the demon world, beings who had intended to observe the situation in the real world seemed to have seen something, and as the heavenly clan expert turned to ashes, all their expressions changed. Dongchen State, 10,000 Demon Ridge, Picking Stars Peak. Right now, the second round of the elimination tournament was in full swing, but nobody knew that at the summit of Picking Stars Peak, more than a dozen demonic emperors had gathered. In front of these demonic emperors, an old man with white hair, looking as if he was on the verge of death, was staring into the void where a spatial channel was clearly visible. A hint of golden light flickered in the eyes of the old man, as if his gaze could penetrate the spatial channel and see the circumstances of the real world. The other demonic emperors were also staring at the spatial channel, each using their own methods to try to see the scene on the other side. Suddenly, the old man about to die said in a low voice, "A saint level has perished in that world." Saint level? Perished? The more than 10 demonic emperors were stunned, their brains taking a moment to catch up. How could there be a saint level in a world with only 3 king level beings? And to have perished there, what was going on? Everyone looked towards the old man, but unfortunately, he did not elaborate, saying only, "It seems that the world where the outsiders come from is not as simple as we thought. Besides us, there are other races targeting that world." After reappearing at the departure point, Sunan first went back to the middle of Picking Stars Peak to check on the progress of the elimination tournament. Only 20 minutes or so had passed since the start of the elimination round, and the combatants on the arena had reached only numbers 12 and 13, leaving a long wait until his number 72. He then checked the world chat. The world chat was already in an uproar, with countless players cheering and celebrating, even those not from Hua country joining in the joy. Good, no accidents occurred. Even though he already knew the outcome of the heavenly clan expert, Sunan still sighed with relief internally, as this crisis had been averted for the moment. As for the previous prediction that mentioned the real world had been located, he did not pay too much attention to it. Now was not the time to worry about these things. Assured that nothing unexpected had taken place, he then had time to look at the game notice that had popped up earlier. The 4th public test has begun, with a quota of 1 billion people. After this public test, once players' bloodlines reach great accomplishment in the game, bloodline power will be synchronized with the real world. After this public test, should a player die within the game, they will lose 2 resurrection opportunities, and they will only be able to log into the game again 2 days later. After this public test, players using the game bracelet to directly enter the game will permanently die if their game character dies. A 30-day mainline task Luck Child has begun. The top 100 in the final ranking will receive a mass of extra rewards. For detailed tasks, please go to the task panel to check. The notice outlined the changes for this public beta test, which had already been announced once before, and nothing was worth noting except for the Luck Child task. Sunan quickly schemed through and immediately opened the task panel. On the panel, today's daily tasks had been refreshed. Even without looking, Sunan knew that today's tasks wouldn't be much different from yesterday's. Glancing over Lang 13's tasks, it was as expected. What was there yesterday was also there today, the only difference being a new task had appeared in the mainline task section. Mainline task, Luck Child. Fortune ebbs and flows like a tide, swelling and receding at times. When it swells, the spiritual mechanism revives, and multitudes of races rise up. When it recedes, all of heaven falls silent, and stars fall. Tens of thousands of years ago, the luck between heaven and earth shifted from prosperity to decline, and to this day, it has reached the bottom of the valley. However, this is not the end. On the contrary, it is just the beginning. In the not-too-distant future, the celestial fortune will be completely exhausted, and the heavens will fall into a long silence, with all things withering away. Heaven and earth, sensing the sorrow of living beings, thus gathered the luck of the heavens and gave the creatures a glimmer of hope for transcendence. As a member of the heavens, you have the qualifications to compete for that glimmer of hope. But before that, you must stand out among your own race to attain sufficient racial luck and become the luck child. Upon reading this, Su Nan's expression changed slightly. The celestial fortune is about to be completely exhausted? Everything in the heavens is to fall silent? What is happening? Wasn't it supposed to be the revival of the spiritual mechanism? Wasn't it agreed that a golden age was approaching? How come it suddenly became the eve of the end times? After all this time, the restoration of the heavenly and earthly vitality in the game world was just the last flicker of light before dusk. Once that flicker ends, the entire world will fall silent. Su Nan did not know what it would be like when the myriad heavens fell silent, or what would happen, but even a fool would know that it was definitely not a good thing. Could it be that when the time comes, it would be the end of the world, with all beings falling and all things destroyed, and it seems that this time will not be very long. Continued to read on. Mainline task. First step, become one of the top 10,000 luck persons among your race. Task difficulty, 4-star. Task reward, 1 drop of ancient demon essence blood, 1 copy of the ancient demon sutra, 500 points of racial luck, 500 points of heaven-earth luck. Countdown, 10 days. Note, ways to obtain racial luck include, but are not limited to, killing those whose luck surpasses yours during the task period, doing things of great contribution to the race, obtaining the inheritance of an ancient powerhouse. Players can go to the personal information panel to view their racial luck ranking. The ranking only shows 100 ranks above and below your current position. Attention, this task is an elimination mission. Players must complete the previous step before the task ends in order to qualify to start the next step. Become one of the top 10,000 great luck persons in one's race. Su Nan was shocked. The requirement might not sound high, but the difficulty was enormous. The number of human warriors might seem small, and the number of warriors in a state might not add up to much, but what if you combined all 12 states? The task requirement referred to one's race, not one state, naturally including all humans. There were many factors that affected the amount of celestial fortune. Some people were born as great luck persons, while others were plagued by misfortune from birth. But one thing remained constant, the realm. The higher the realm, the stronger the luck. In such circumstances, to enter the top 10,000 among all humans, being Xian level was far from enough, unless other ways could be found to gain luck. This is the case for humans, not to mention the demon clan. To enter the top 10,000 ranks within the demon clan, even king level might not be enough. The more Su Nan analyzed, the more shocked he became. This task was not designed for ordinary players, only top players like him qualified to participate. Moreover, unlike the previous tasks, this one resembled a real mainline task. Only by completing the previous stage could one proceed to the next. Thus, for ordinary players, there was no chance of taking part in subsequent tasks, they were destined to be eliminated. Right, I don't seem to have to do this task with my other identity. Suddenly, Su Nan remembered his identity within the demon race and his eyes brightened. The number of demon beasts was fixed at 3,000, which meant that even if he did nothing, he could still complete the first stage of the task, right? I wonder what my current ranking in luck is. He immediately looked at the personal information panel and found the luck ranking. 569th place, name, Bingju. Realm, early stage of Emperor level. Luck possessed, 2332. 570th place, name, Koimuhai. Realm, early stage of Emperor level. Luck possessed, 2324. 569th place, name, Hui Er. Realm, peak king level. Luck possessed, 1858. 570th place, name, Lang 13. Realm, early king rank. Luck possessed, 1853. Lang 13's ranking appeared before his eyes, which reflected the ranking among all of the demon clan, not just the players' rankings. The ranking list displayed the 100 ranks around one's position, and the top ranks were uniformly at the early stage of Emperor level, until the 101st place, which was Su Nan's rank at 570th. Lang 13's luck ranking among the entire demon clan has actually reached over 500. Su Nan was surprised, as the current results were beyond his expectations. He knew his ranking might be somewhat high, but he did not expect to be directly within the top 600. To know that those ranking before and after him, at the least, were peak king level, and there he was, an early king rank, wedged in the middle, just like a husky mixed among a pack of financial wolves. But he quickly understood why that was the case. Chapter 398. Mysterious Invitation. The game rewards are related to the chi luck I get each time I make a breakthrough. Su Nan realized what was happening. The vast majority of his racial luck came from the game rewards he received for his breakthroughs. Previously, without any comparison, he was not clear whether the amount of racial luck from game rewards was a lot or a little. Now, with the ranking list, he finally understood his level of chi luck. Only over 2,000 points of racial luck at the early stage of Emperor level. It seems that the amount of racial luck from the rewards is quite substantial. Ordinary Emperor level great demons only had over 2,000 chi luck. Normal early king rank demons would be doing well to have several hundred points of chi luck, while mortal grade and spiritual mechanism creatures probably only had dozens of points. Thinking about the over 2,000 points of racial luck he had used up in the past few days, he couldn't help but feel pained again. That was the entire chi luck of an Emperor level being. Fortunately, during this task period, I can hunt beings with more chi luck than myself and gain their chi luck. This opening of the spatial channel had brought him 10 demonic emperors. Killing all of these would undoubtedly provide him with a significant amount of chi luck. Of course, he couldn't possibly gain all of the chi luck from those demonic emperors. As his chi luck grew, once it was comparable to mid-stage emperor grade, continuing to hunt early emperor level demons would no longer yield any chi luck. In this way, the disappearance of over 1,000 points of human clan's luck from Wang Nan turned out to be a good thing for him. The less racial luck he now had, the more chi luck he would gain. Suddenly, Su Nan thought of another issue and frowned. The task of Luck Child is for players to stand out from their own race, and one of the ways to gain chi luck is to hunt those with more chi luck than oneself. And the targets for hunting are not other races, but members of the same race. This means that if I want to complete daily tasks using demons, I will inevitably not be able to obtain any chi luck because the character Lang 13 would not refresh tasks involving the likes of demons. Thinking of this, he realized that the task was forcing a choice between two options. Either gain chi luck or gain demon power. Roll switch, and then check Wang Nan's chi luck again. Rank 539, Name, Po Luo. Realm, Peak King level. Racial luck, 2,332 points. Rank 640, Name, Mi Cha. Realm, Peak King level. Racial luck, 2098 points. Rank 740, Name, Wang Nan. Realm, Early King rank. Racial luck, 1,110 points. Compared to Lang 13's chi luck, Wang Nan had much less chi luck for the demon race. However, what puzzled him was that, up to 100 places ahead of him, they all had over 2,000 points of chi luck, nearly double his amount. And some early Emperor level demons from the demon clan only had just over 2,000 points of chi luck, but in the demon race, even peak king level beings had over 2,000 points of chi luck. Twice the chi luck, but only 100 spots higher up the list. Su Nan furrowed his brow, noting the issue here. You see, in the demon clan rankings, those 100 places ahead of him had only a few hundred more chi luck than him, but among the demon race, the gap suddenly widened so much. After carefully reviewing the rankings, he finally found the issue. He realized that starting from the first place in front of him, which was rank 539 on the list, down to the 90th place, they all had chi luck that exceeded their realm. And from the 90th place onwards, chi luck plummeted in a cliff-like fashion. Could it be because these demon beasts have lived since ancient times? Su Nan considered a possibility. If so, does that mean that in this world, there are only slightly more than 600 demon beasts still at peak king level after being suppressed until now? Slightly more than 600 doesn't seem too many either. Next was Zhang Yang's ranking. Rank 423, Name, Zhang Yang. Realm, Early King rank. Racial luck, 2,250 points. Among the three roles, Zhang Yang's human clan's chi luck was undoubtedly the highest, nearly all emperor level above him. With over 400 emperor-level humans, it seems that the upper echelon of human strength is not too far behind the demon race and demon clan. It was just unfortunate that when this character, Wang Nan, became part of the demon race, Wang Nan's human clan's luck did not transform into demon race luck, otherwise, Wang Nan would have had the most racial luck. After checking the racial luck rankings, Su Nan opened another ranking list. This was a list exclusive to players. First place, name, Zhang Yang. Realm, Early King rank. Racial luck, 2250. Second place, name, Lang 13. Realm, Early King rank. Racial luck, 1853. Third place, name, Wang Nan. Realm, Early King rank. Racial luck, 1110. Fourth place, name, Lu Di. Realm, Mid-Stage Xian level. Racial luck, 630. Fifth place, name, Kaisel. Realm, Mid-Stage Xian level. Racial luck, 595. Sixth rank, name, Kawamoto. Realm, Early Stage Xian level. Racial luck, 503. As expected, his 3 roles occupied the top 3 spots, and those who could rank in the top 10 were all top great gods from various states. Fortunately, this ranking list doesn't reveal races, otherwise, it would give me away. Su Nan breathed a sigh of relief. Although with his current strength, it would not be a big problem if people knew Lang 13 and Wang Nan were not human, it was still better to keep it secret if possible. After checking the tasks, he looked up again to continue watching the elimination rounds of the Heavenly Demon Grand Ceremony. An hour later, it was finally his turn. Before he even moved, a youth had already eagerly mounted the arena. The youth at the late king rank was already considered among the top, except for those peak king level geniuses. It's the little Flame King from the Flame Horse tribe. Someone whispered, revealing the young man's identity. The youth stood on the arena, looking arrogantly around, seeming to want to see who his opponent was. Seeing this, Su Nan walked out from the group of demons and went up to the arena. It's that guy from the Sky Wolf clan. The little Flame King's opponent is actually him. As soon as Su Nan stepped onto the stage, he was immediately recognized, and the colors of the onlooking demon gods changed slightly. Looking at Su Nan's opponent, Little Flame King's face turned unsightly in an instant. What a pity, with Little Flame King's strength, entering the top 50 was a certainty, and even the top 20 was possible, but now facing this ruthless person, he's got no choice but to be eliminated. If we're talking about pity, we should mention Dewu, who with his strength, could have aimed for the top 10 but now couldn't even make it into the top 100. Many thought of Dewu who was forced out of the secret realm by Su Nan yesterday and felt sorry for him. Of course, there were also some who didn't find it regrettable and retorted. The selection of the secret realm has always been this way, the elimination of some powerful geniuses has occurred not just once or twice. The Heavenly Demon Grand Ceremony not only tests strength but also chi luck. Dewu being eliminated in the Sacred Blood secret realm only shows his bad luck. The crowd discussed, while the battle in the ring had already begun. This was destined to be a battle without much suspense, as that late king rank Little Flame King was easily defeated by him. After finishing the fight, Su Nan didn't linger and turned to leave. He didn't know that 100 meters away from the group of demons, under an ancient tree, 5 young men and women watched him leave and discussed in hushed tones. They seemed to be invisible, clearly standing there, yet no one could see them. The 5 watched Su Nan effortlessly win and leave, their eyes revealing a hint of astonishment. One of them, a youth in a white robe with his arms crossed in front of his chest, said, "Have you ascertained his strength?" One of the handsome men at the side shook his head and said, "That Little Flame King was too weak, he didn't let him show much strength, it's hard to see anything." Beside him, a girl in a purple dress also nodded, "So far, we only know that he has extremely fast speed, as for other abilities, we know nothing. But one thing's for sure, he's also a formidable opponent for us." The others nodded. Su Nan was too mysterious, with no clue as to what his true strength was, which put pressure on them. Suddenly, the youth in the white robe spoke, "Shall we invite him?" Upon hearing this, the others fell silent for a moment, as if pondering something. Eventually the girl in the purple dress said, "Dewu was originally one of our candidates to invite. Since this person could easily defeat Dewu, he qualifies to be invited by us." Someone spoke, and the handsome man beside added, "I also think he qualifies. It's worth a try." I have no objections. Since that's the case, shall we go and test out that guy? They quickly reached a consensus and chased in the direction where Su Nan had left. Congratulations, you've completed the daily task. Secure a top 50 position in the Heavenly Demon Grand Ceremony selection. 45 demon power points have been granted. Current usable demonic power, 410 points. With one task completed, Su Nan looked at other tasks. Of the 3 roles today, the tasks of slaying demons consisted of 4, 1 Emperor level, 2 King level, and 1 Xian level. Unfortunately, there was no task refreshed for hunting demon beasts. Now I have Xian level demons, King level demonic beasts, Emperor level demons. For a long time to come, I won't need to look for targets. Within the mountain and water gourd, he controlled his avatar and directly slew 2 King level demonic beasts and 1 Xian level demon. 120 demon power points credited, bringing the usable demon power up to 530 points. Last was the Emperor level demon. Emperor level demons are valuable, can't waste them. According to my previous plan, those Emperor level demons with strong divine souls can be used to make paper puppet demons. I just don't know if extracting its divine soul to create a paper puppet demon counts as slaying a demon. Su Nan suddenly came up with a question. The extraction of a demon's divine soul didn't seem to count as death in the true sense. However, now was not the time to ponder this problem, for creating a paper puppet demon required incense fire aspiration force, and he didn't have much of it, making it impossible to create one. Eventually, he chose to slay an Emperor-level demon of the Physique series. This was the first time he truly hunted an Emperor-level demon, all previous hunts were of lesser demon beasts. Congratulations, you have completed the daily task Slay an Emperor-level demon, 60 points of demon power have been awarded. Current available demonic power, 590 points. 590 points, just 10 short of breaking 600. A smile appeared on Su Nan's lips. With this, today's tasks were essentially accomplished. Unfortunately, he had used Zhang Yang's role to slay the demon, so he obtained no chi luck. Su Nan proceeded unhurriedly towards the base of Picking Star's Peak. Suddenly, he sensed something and abruptly looked back. His gaze into the void behind him revealed no demons, but relying on his senses, Su Nan still detected a trace of something. Without acting rashly, this place was Picking Star's Peak, a holy land for the demon clan. It was better not to act hastily before understanding the other party's intentions, in case they were just passing by. He stopped in his tracks, but as he did so, the other party also stopped. Seeing this, Su Nan understood that they had come specifically for him. "Since you've already come, why lurk in the shadows?" Su Nan said calmly. No sooner had he finished speaking than a sudden burst of light shot towards him, dazzling and extremely fast. In just a flash, it was almost upon him. Su Nan narrowed his eyes, unafraid and not even bothering to dodge. Golden light flashed in his hand as he struck out at the light. The burst of light was strong, comparable to a full-strength blow from a Peak King-level powerful person. However, as Su Nan's palm struck down, the light suddenly exploded. After dealing with the burst of light in one strike, Su Nan didn't stop. It wasn't proper to take a hit and not return one. Since the other party had struck, there was no reason for him not to strike back. He stepped forward, attacking the hidden few. Of course, being cautious, he also used a foreknowledge opportunity to see a little into the future as he struck. Facing Su Nan's assault, several figures emerged without underestimating him. Among them, a youth with a slender but extremely dangerous aura stepped forward to clash with Su Nan. The two didn't use exceedingly powerful abilities, relying only on their physical strikes and punches. The youth was naturally no match for Su Nan, even with Su Nan's strength not yet fully restored. In their exchange of blows, it was no surprise that the youth was overpowered, retreating several steps before barely stabilizing. Such strong physique, the youth's face changed slightly. Su Nan's expression remained the same, ready to continue his attack. Seeing this, the youth promptly said, "Brother Lang Wu, please stop, it's all a misunderstanding." The youth took the initiative to call a halt, prompting Su Nan to frown, but he did not persist in his aggression, halting his motion and coldly surveying the group. The brief skirmish decided the victor instantly, causing the others to tense up. They were well aware of the youth's strength, none of them could match him in physical power alone. Yet he had been repelled by Su Nan. Not only is this guy fast, his strength is also incredibly powerful, the thoughts raced through their minds, filling them with hesitation. Su Nan's might had caught them off guard. If they included Su Nan, they feared they might end up doing more harm to themselves. But the next moment, a thought struck them, and after exchanging looks, they still decided to extend their invitation to Su Nan. The place they were headed was too dangerous, and achieving their goal with their current strength was exceedingly difficult. If Su Nan was competent enough to help them succeed in their mission, they would actually welcome it. The youth who had attacked quickly said, "Brother Lang Wu, please don't misunderstand. The attack was merely an attempt to extend you an invitation." "An invitation? What for?" Su Nan asked. As he spoke, his eyes glanced at the content of the foreknowledge on the panel, revealing a flicker of surprise. Chapter 399, The Merge of 12 States. "Let me introduce myself first. I'm from the Silver Blood Dragon clan, Long Yun Han," said the man who had just fought with Su Nan, taking the initiative to introduce himself. After he finished, another youth dressed in a white robe also nodded and said, "Silver Blood Dragon clan, Long Yunshu." Both men were from the same clan, both hailing from the Silver Blood Dragon clan. The only woman among the five, who was dressed in a purple dress, introduced herself, "Crystal Feather Phoenix clan, Luan Qingyu." The handsome young man said, "Clan of Zhongming Cranes, He Wushuan." Lastly, the youthful man with refined looks and a smile said, "Morning Star Xiu clan, Xing Yi." As the five of them introduced themselves in turn, Su Nan didn't really know much about their clans, but the information from his foreknowledge provided him with the answers. Incredibly, all five of them were from the top 4 ranked demon clans of the 10,000 Demon Ridge. Wow, he hadn't encountered a single one in the Sacred Blood Secret Realm yesterday, but today they had all turned up, Su Nan thought to himself. The origins of the clans these five were from were extraordinary. The Silver Blood Dragon clan, in particular, had a close relationship with the top-ranked Golden Dragon clan of the Ancient Demon clan. During ancient times, they were also ranked within the top 20. This clan was originally a branch of the Golden Dragon clan, but it was said that the ancestor of the Silver Dragon clan once obtained some kind of opportunity, causing their bloodline to mutate and show a unique silver color. Later, they broke away from the Golden Dragon clan and established the Silver Blood Dragon clan. Essentially, this clan was once part of the Golden Dragon clan. The situation with the Crystal Feather Phoenix clan was somewhat similar to the Silver Blood Dragon clan. There were rumors that an ancestor was a crystal kite bird who mated with the Fire Phoenix clan, ranked second in ancient times, giving rise to the Crystal Feather Phoenix clan. As for the Zhongming Crane clan, this clan was extraordinary. Unlike the Silver Blood Dragon clan and Crystal Feather Phoenix clan, the clan of Zhongming Cranes was one of the original top 10 ancient demon clans. Like the White-Winged Tiger clan, they carried the bloodline of the auspicious beast the Zhongming bird. If the previous 3 clans just made Su Nan take an extra glance, the last, refined-looking young man really piqued Su Nan's interest. The Morning Star Xiu clan, just like the aforementioned clans, also possessed the bloodline of auspicious beasts, corresponding to the Pixiu. According to the foreknowledge, this clan might not be as strong as the previous ones, but they held a strange ability. It was an ability that could attract good fortune and avoid disaster, sensing crises and opportunities related to oneself. This ability was mystical indeed. Even Su Nan, who wielded the power of destiny and could utilize chi luck, did not possess this capability. Although this ability wasn't as profound as his ability to foresee the future, it could still offer immense help at critical moments. "We've come to you this time to invite you to a place. The move I just made was a test of your strength, because not just anyone can go there. If you're not strong enough, going there would simply be a death wish," the man from the Silver Blood Dragon clan in the white robe, Long Yunshu, said with a smile, his expression unconsciously carrying a hint of pride. It seemed as if he were saying it was an honor for Su Nan to have passed their test. Without changing his expression, Su Nan glanced at his foreknowledge and asked, "Oh? Where is this place you want to invite me to?" He already knew from his foreknowledge what they wanted, but he naturally didn't show it, pretending as if he knew nothing. With Brother Lang Wu's strength, reaching the top 10 shouldn't be a problem. And by entering the top 10, you would be qualified to enter the ancestral land. You should know, Brother Lang Wu, within the ancestral land lies the heavenly demon's legacy of our demon ancestors. We want to enter the ancestral land, of course, for that heavenly demon legacy. But Brother Lang Wu, do you know, over the years, how many have obtained that legacy? Long Yunshu did not directly answer Su Nan's question, instead, he veered off on a tangential inquiry. How many people? Su Nan played along, asking. Long Yuncha shook his head, none. Not a single person ever. The Heavenly Demon Grand Ceremony is held every 30 years, and from ancient times to now, it has occurred countless times, yet no one has ever obtained the Heavenly Demon's legacy. This has led many to believe that the Heavenly Demon legacy is just a mere legend, non-existent. However, actual records from our Silver Blood Dragon clan suggest that the Heavenly Demon legacy indeed exists. No one has ever obtained it. Su Nan showed surprise and curiosity on his face. Why is that? Even the Demon Emperor couldn't do it. What about the demon gods from ancient times? Brother Langwu may not know, but not just anyone can enter the ancestral land. This time, it was Xing Yi from the Morning Star Xiu clan who answered him. The ancestral land is a special space with specific requirements regarding the realm of those who enter. Only those at the peak king level can enter. Once anyone reaches emperor level, they cannot enter the ancestral land anymore. After a pause, he added, even the demon emperor cannot do it. The youthful man from the Zhongming Crane clan, He Wushuan, nodded, that's right. This is actually a hidden rule of the Heavenly Demon Grand Ceremony. Once your realm exceeds king level, you lose the qualifications. The reason this rule isn't made public is that over the years, no one has been able to step into emperor level while attending the Heavenly Demon Grand Ceremony. Reaching emperor level from king level is a huge hurdle, and even in ancient times, it was rare for someone to reach peak king level within the 30 years of the Heavenly Demon Grand Ceremony cycle, let alone advance to emperor level. Over time, this rule was eventually forgotten. And the reason we have been able to reach the peak king level and surpass many ancestors is because the heavenly and earthly vitality has been restored today, and those of us who can rise are born with chi luck, those who have great luck. This is why we have been able to attain our current realms before the age of 30. Su Nan nodded, seemingly understanding what the others were inviting him to do, and said, so you're saying, you want to invite me to obtain the Heavenly Demon legacy? Long Yunhan smiled and said, Brother Langwu is indeed a clever man. Exactly, according to the information we obtained, the location of the Heavenly Demon legacy is in the deepest part of the ancestral land, which is also the most dangerous place. Do you know what dangers there are? Su Nan asked. Brother Langwu, do you know what the space where the ancestral land was located during the ancient times is? Long Yunhan asked in return. Naturally, Su Nan shook his head, pretending not to know anything. That place is a cemetery. Many terrifying beings of our demon clan were buried there. After those beings fell, their hearts were filled with unresolved yearnings and reluctance, eventually some of them turned into resentful demons. Although tens of thousands of years have passed and most of those resentful demons have faded away, some of them have merged with the secret realm due to certain reasons and have not completely perished. Brother Langwu should know, the resentful demons are controlled by obsessions and resentments and can no longer be considered part of our demon clan, even harboring jealousy towards us, the living members of the demon clan. Once we approach the burial grounds of those beings, we will be attacked. This is also one of the reasons why no one has been able to obtain the legacy over the years. Long Yunhan revealed some secrets of the demon clan ancestral land. Su Nan was silently listening, his expression showing surprise from time to match Long Yunhan, but in his heart, he was thinking about the task of stealing the essence blood of the demon saint. If the demon clan ancestral land really buried many great monsters of the past, it might indeed be possible to find saint-level ancient demon essence blood. Long Yunhan continued, that's just one of the reasons. To get the legacy, one must go through several challenges. Those challenges are simply not something we at the king level can pass, but we have no choice. To obtain the legacy, we must risk our lives. Long Yunhan seemed certain that Su Nan would agree to join them in acquiring the Heavenly Demon legacy and did not hide anything, openly sharing everything about the ancestral land. However, after listening, Su Nan sneered and said, since all of you have no confidence in obtaining the legacy, do you think adding me will make success possible? According to what you've said, the deepest part of the ancestral land is extremely dangerous, a single misstep could even lead to death. Do you think I'd be so foolish to know that the risks outweigh the rewards, yet still venture to accompany you to our doom? Upon hearing this, the others were slightly stunned, not expecting Su Nan to respond like that, and their brows furrowed. Long Yunhan was even more frustrated, upset that after all his talk, he was not able to incite Su Nan's desire to explore but instead caused him to shrink back. Looking at Su Nan again, he had a feeling of regret, like hating iron for not turning into steel, feeling somewhat regretful for inviting Su Nan. At this moment, He Wushuan said, Brother Lang Wu, you should know that today, as the spatial channel opens, those outsiders call it the fourth public test. And according to the information we have received, after this public beta test by those outsiders, a luck child's task has been initiated. The content of that task is... Long Yunhan repeated the task content of the player's luck child, intent on persuading Su Nan once more. After listening, Su Nan couldn't help but silently sigh. The demon clan clearly understood the player's situation, noticing any movements at the earliest opportunity. This made him wonder if there were players who had defected to the demon clan. It wasn't impossible, and was quite likely. As long as the demon clan was willing to harbor them, there were likely plenty of players eager to defect. Su Nan did not interrupt He Wushuan, continuing to listen. The Demon Emperor has confirmed that all this information is true. Our world may really be about to enter an era of depleted celestial fortune. Once that era truly arrives, the vast majority will perish along with heaven and earth, and those of us with great luck will be the first to be affected. The only way to survive is to become a true person of great luck, to become a luck child, to transcend with the last of heaven and earth's fortune, and only then is there a slim chance of surviving these great calamities. Indeed, once the tide of Qi luck recedes, this heaven and earth may collapse. Su Nan's mind tensed, although this was not unexpected. Having seen the task earlier, he had guessed at this possibility. Now, it was merely being confirmed. After a pause, He Wushuan continued, moreover, the demonic emperor has foreseen that as the heavenly and earthly vitality revives, the 12 states will soon begin to converge, returning to their state from ancient times. Since those outsiders can compete with each other for the title of luck child, there's no reason why we, the demon clan, cannot. Once the 12 states merge, our demon clans from the 12 states will inevitably compete with each other, just like those outsiders. This is a destiny that no one can escape from, especially for geniuses like us. Even if you don't strive for it, someone will use you as a stepping stone. Conversely, this is actually an opportunity for us. If we can stand out in this competition, advancing to emperor level will be a breeze, and it's not impossible to even become a demon saint. As he spoke, He Wushuan's expression revealed longing and determination. They were, after all, naturally gifted and lauded as once in a millennia geniuses within their clans, the strongest geniuses throughout the demon clan of East Chen State. Now that the 12 states might merge, they would naturally not want to be outshone by the geniuses from the other 11 states. To achieve this, the only thing they could do was to improve their strength as much as possible. And now, the opportunity to inherit the legacy of the celestial demon in the ancestral land of the demon clan was the best chance. The 12 states are merging. Su Nan took a deep breath to himself. He had already known this information from his foreknowledge, but hearing it spoken out loud by several people still made his heart unsettled. It has to be said that the merging of the 12 states is a major event for the entire demon world. Once the 12 states merge, it's unpredictable what changes might occur if the human and demon clans clash once again. After listening to He Wushuan's words, Su Nan pondered, seemingly considering whether or not to agree with the others. Of course, he was just putting on an act. In fact, the moment he finished seeing the foreknowledge, he had already made his decision. A moment later, as if he had made up his mind, he took a deep breath and said, "All right. Since you all hold me in such high regard, why not accompany you on this journey?" He was definitely going to the ancestral land of the demon clan. That was his ultimate goal in attending the Heavenly Demon Grand Ceremony. Now that Long Yunhan and the others had invited him, he could take advantage of their strength to gather as much information as possible, which would allow him to better predict the future once he entered the ancestral land. Seeing this, the expressions on their faces eased considerably. The member of the Morning Star Martin clan, Xing Yi, smiled and said, "I have a feeling that with the addition of the Langwu brothers, our mission this time will surely be accomplished." At these words, the others looked at him with elusive expressions in their eyes. Xing Yi smiled but said nothing more. With their purpose achieved, the group bid farewell to Su Nan, who continued toward the foot of the mountain. He needed to properly digest the considerable amount of information he had received from them. Back in the palace at the foot of the mountain, Su Nan exited the game. In reality, it was just after 1 o'clock in the morning. The night was dense. Su Nan appeared where he had entered the game. Apart from initially experiencing entering the game with his avatar after the game bracelet had been opened, this was the first time he had entered the game through the game bracelet. Fortunately, with his current strength, he didn't have to worry about life-threatening dangers. Returning to his rented place, he picked up his phone and entered the forum, wanting to see the current changes in the game. After experiencing an unprecedented crisis, the real world had once again been dealt a heavy blow. However, compared to the last time, the losses this time were significantly less. Upon learning that all 11 demonic emperors had been slain, the demons were terrified and retreated from Hua country's territory at the first opportunity. Even the regions surrounding Hua country, which were previously controlled by demons, were now devoid of any demon presence. Thank goodness our Hua country has the Buddha. Otherwise, we would have been doomed this time. That's right. Without the Buddha, we would all have to enter the game with our real bodies, and entering the game that way is akin to seeking death. Not to mention us new players, even the great gods can't withstand it. Many were still shaken up. If you die while entering the game through the game bracelet main body, you die for real, a price no one can afford. If possible, no one would want to enter the game with their real body. Chapter 400. The arrival of misfortune. The increasing cost of in-game death when one's true body enters, forced countless players to look for ways to enter the game through game warehouses. And because of the existence of Buddha Sunan, Hua country had become a sanctuary in everyone's heart. Players from the 12 states all tried every possible means to enter Hua country. As the last bastion of humanity, the Chinese government, in the spirit of humanitarianism, did not stop them, but instead opened up the passage and helped players enter Hua country. This caused the number of players within Hua country to grow rapidly. Now, the activity level of Hua country players on the game forum had completely caught up with the world chat function in the game, and even surpassed it in popularity due to playability and other reasons, making the forum more favored by players. Players from the 12 states were posting on the forum, which caused the number of posts to skyrocket. Shocking! An ancient relic has appeared in Tianyun County, Dongchen State. Various guilds have sent people to explore it. Ancient relics have also appeared in Huangjue Province, but sadly, that relic is in the demon clan's territory and has been occupied by an emperor-level great demon. Relics have emerged in Yuzhou Province too. There's a cave dwelling known as Eternal Venerables, and someone has even triggered the inheritance task of the Eternal Venerable. As foreknowledge had predicted, with the revival of heavenly and earthly vitality in the demon world, ancient relics appeared in succession. Tianyun County? That's a familiar place. Noticing the first relic that appeared in Dongchen State, Sunan's eyes twinkled subtly. If he had to name the place he was most familiar with in East Chen's 9 states, it would be Tianyun County. He couldn't help but think of that forbidden land in Tianyun County, the White Bone Cave. He once explored the White Bone Cave in search of Hu Xiaotian. In the foreknowledge, he had seen a bone city, and at that time, the foreknowledge even directly suggested that he could gain a great opportunity there. That was the only time foreknowledge gave such a hint. Unfortunately, his strength was too weak back then to even explore the outskirts of the White Bone Cave, let alone delve deeper. Moreover, there were 3 paths inside White Bone Cave, one related to humans, one to the demon race, and one to the demon clan. Now that he has the power of all 3 races, it is possible that he could obtain opportunities related to the 3 clans within. Perhaps after the journey to 10,000 Demon Ridge is over, I should take another look at that White Bone Cave, Sunan thought. These posts attracted a large number of players. Whether it was the inheritance in the cave dwellings or the rewards of game tasks, everything was driving people crazy, and many dreamed of reaping benefits from the relics and soaring to great heights. Besides, during the task of the Luck Child, gaining inheritance could increase one's Qi luck. Qi luck, ah! Even deity Wang Nan has only a little over 1100 points of Qi luck. If one could receive the inheritance of an ancient powerhouse, wouldn't that be worth several hundred points of Qi luck? Wouldn't that just take off? So many ancient relics have appeared at the same time, it's clearly because the heavenly and earthly vitality in the game has revived. If that's the case, does it mean that in the following period, other relics will continue to appear? Among the players were those with sharp insights who quickly thought of various possibilities. Sunan, too, coveted the inheritance of the ancient powerhouses. But now, as he could not leave 10,000 Demon Ridge, he could only watch with eager eyes. Continuing to scroll down, another highly popular post caught his eye. The demon catastrophe in Northern Ice Province has really erupted. I received a demon extermination quest today, and it turns out to be a 5-star mainline task. Clicking into the post, there's a screenshot of a game task that shows it's asking players to eliminate demon beasts. The first part of the task is a 5-star mission that requires players to eliminate 3 king-level demon beasts. Hiss, A 5-star task. There are tasks beyond the 4-star level. Terrifying, it's even rewarding technique seeds and ancient scriptures. I'm envious. I'm also a player from Northern Ice Province. How did you trigger this task, poster? I'm just curious about what it feels like to trigger a 5-star mission. Hearing about a 5-star mission, many people were shocked. To them, even 3-star level and 4-star tasks were unattainable, let alone 5 stars. Before this, though some people had indeed triggered such tasks, those were invariably top players, and they wouldn't share how they did it. This was the first time someone had publicly shared a 5-star task. Exorcism task. Looking at this post, Sunan suddenly had a thought flash through his mind. It seemed like this task was very suitable for him. If he too could get this task, couldn't he complete the daily task and the mainline task at the same time? But then he shook his head. What a pity, with my current strength, it's a bit difficult to get this task. Hunting demon beasts was not a new thing, and ever since this character, Wang Nan, turned to the demon race, he had dealt with demon beasts more and more often. But whether it's because the game is becoming more realistic, getting mainline tasks had become harder and harder. Unless he used a main quest replication card. It's not only Northern Ice Province. In Xianzhou Province, too, a demon beast has broken free. The human empire in Xianzhou Province is organizing powerful persons to figure out how to surround and exterminate that beast. Not just Xianzhou Province. As far as I know, in Dongchen State, Southern Province, Tianjia Province, and so on, among the 12 states, 8 states are either facing liberated demon beasts or citing them. If you ask me, it won't be long until the entire 12 states will face a demon catastrophe. How could so many demon beasts appear? Although there were demon beasts in the various states before, they hid very deeply and did not actively emerge. Why are they all coming out now? Isn't it obvious? The celestial fortune is about to be exhausted, and the inheritances left by the ancient human clan powerhouses are beginning to appear. It's only natural that the demon beasts emerge as well. I fear it won't be long before the game world is thrown into chaos. Even ordinary players have noticed the chaotic phenomena occurring in the game world. Looking at everyone's comments, Sunan shook his head slightly. If these people knew that the 12 states might soon be merging, I wonder what they would think. And the heavenly race, the real world has already been anchored, and it is only a matter of time before the heavenly race descends again. Ordinary people can only guess at future events from limited information, completely unaware that both the real world and the game world are on the brink of collapse, prone to topple at any moment. He continued browsing through the forum, and after a moment, having found nothing of interest, he logged out of the forum. Glancing at the night sky, there were still a few hours until sunrise. He quickly fell into a deep sleep upon lying in bed. When he woke up again, it was already 8 in the morning. Log into the game. Today's task had been nearly completed, and Sunan didn't have much else to do. It was nighttime again in the game, or else he would have wanted to cultivate the Great Sun Golden Body scripture. I wonder if those players who also received the task of stealing Demon Saint Essence blood are logged into the game now. With nothing particular to do, Sunan decided to chat with those few players. Today is the 6th day of the Heavenly Demon Grand Ceremony, with only 4 days remaining until the culmination of this event. With his strength, he naturally didn't need to conspire with others to enter the Demon Clan ancestral land, but it was still good to understand the Great Yu Dynasty's arrangements in advance. He didn't blindly search for these individuals, as it was not feasible to search aimlessly without knowing whether they were in the game. Looking at the foreknowledge on his panel, he decided to utilize it. Previously, foreseeing the future showed that I would die in the game 3 days from now. I wonder exactly how I will die. He had used foreknowledge only 10 times in reality today, still having over 100 attempts remaining, perfectly sufficient. You know that you will face a crisis 3 days from now. Do you wish to consume a certain number of foreknowledge times to foresee the situation 3 minutes before your death? Yes. The foreknowledge began, consuming 60 foreknowledge opportunities. It was exactly 3 days, evidently, the outcome had not changed. You know that there are several outsiders hidden near Picking Star's Peak who want to enter the Demon Clan ancestral land to steal the Demon Saint Essence blood, and you want to find them. 2 hours later, you find several outsiders on a small hill 2,000 meters northeast of Picking Star's Peak. You use the identity of Zhang Yang to talk with these outsiders, pretending to join them in entering the Demon Clan ancestral land to steal the Essence blood. You learn that the Great Yu Dynasty has prepared several treasures for these outsiders for this plan, which include treasures that assist with hiding, escaping, and attacking. However, except for a treasure called the space-breaking talisman, the rest that were supposed to be used jointly by the group have now been divided among them. And that space-breaking talisman is the common item to be used by the group for entering the demon clan ancestral land. Your arrival did not grant you any items. The treasures have been divided. Su Nan frowned. The treasures given by the Great Yu dynasty were meant for the group to use together, and only in combination could they maximize their effectiveness and ensure foolproof success. Now that the treasures have been divided among them, the original preparatory measures have been diluted. Not only has the difficulty of completing the task not decreased, but it has increased. This was undoubtedly digging their own graves. Why would they do such a thing? After some contemplation, he thought of a possibility. It seems they knew I was coming. It was clear that they knew he would come and that, if they acted with him, it was highly likely that he would end up with the benefits, leaving them with nothing but empty hands at the end. Given that, it was better to split the treasures evenly. Although this would generally reduce the probability of successfully stealing the demon saint essence blood, it could effectively widen the gap from him, increasing their chances of competing for the final task reward. Well, I haven't even started scheming against you, and you're already scheming against me. Su Nan shook his head, disdainful of their actions. After some discussion, you learn that as per their plan, they will use a space-piercing talisman to directly traverse space and enter the demon clan ancestral land when it opens in 4 days. Then each will rely on their abilities to search within the ancestral land, and if anyone finds the demon saint essence blood, they will reconvene and leave together. You have no intention of acting together with them. After separating, 4 hours later, you find a mountaintop and begin cultivating the Great Sun Golden Body scripture by harnessing the power of Sun's fire. 12 hours later, not daring to cultivate for too long, you end your cultivation session prematurely. This time, the progress of your Great Sun Body's second layer has increased by 2%. 16 hours later, the Heavenly Demon Grand Ceremony begins again, 50 to 20, eliminating 30 people today. Your opponent is a genius from the Cold Scorpion clan. Unfortunately, his late king rank strength is no match for you, and you easily defeat him, winning the match and entering the top 20. 20 hours later, you use a demon beast's divine soul to cultivate the Sky Demon Devouring Divine Technique, and your progress skyrockets. You're only one Emperor-level demonic beast away from reaching the 5th level. 1 day later, you learn that demon beasts have begun appearing in various states, and the Demon God Palace is active frequently. 1.5 days later, the 4th round of the Heavenly Demon Grand Ceremony begins, and your opponent is a peak king-level genius. Eventually, you win the match again and enter the top 10. 2 days later, you learn that the Destiny Society has appeared in Tianjua province and seems to be conducting a certain ceremony, which you pay particular attention to, realizing that their actions could potentially be detrimental to you. After some investigation, you learn that the Destiny Society has collected a large quantity of demon essence blood and has been frequenting a forbidden land in Tianjua province known as Ancient Desolate Ruins. 2.5 days later, the 5th round of the Heavenly Demon Grand Ceremony begins, and you make it into the top 5. 3 days later, you attempt to cultivate the 4 seasons cycle scripture. Just as you're about to make a breakthrough, you suddenly become restless. You realize there's a problem but can't pinpoint where. A minute later, you successfully cultivate the first realm of the 4 seasons cycle scripture, mastering a part of the power of time. However, just then, you discover in horror that the 4 seasons cycle scripture inside you has gone out of control, with time passing rapidly over your body, aging visibly fast. 2 minutes later, 300 years of time have passed over you, your body aging rapidly, and you consume the longevity fruit, which could extend one's lifespan, but to no avail. 3 minutes later, 600 years of lifespan pass, your lifespan is exhausted, and you die. Before dying, you realize that you were under the influence of an extremely terrible curse. Curse. Destiny Society. This is definitely Destiny Society's doing. Su Nan's face turned ugly as he instinctively associated the ceremony conducted by the Destiny Society with this event from his foreknowledge. He didn't expect his hunch to be right. Although this foreknowledge didn't explicitly state his death was linked to the Destiny Society, a curse, a mysterious power related to Qi luck, could only be mastered by the heavenly race. The relationship between the heavenly race and the Destiny Society goes without saying. Tianjua province, so they know I can't leave East Chen and are deliberately avoiding me. Last time, the members of the Destiny Society in East Chen were wiped out by him, and this time, those from the Destiny Society have learned their lesson. Su Nan sighed inwardly, while also acknowledging the methods of the Destiny Society. Despite being countless miles away, in other states, they had the power to act against him. A feat probably only saint-level beings from the human or demon clans could achieve. This truly is a difficult problem they've posed for me. Frowning in deep thought, he quickly pondered a solution. Chapter 401. Terrifying Corpse. Tianjua Province was an unknown distance from Dongchen State. Su Nan didn't know, but he was sure it was absolutely an enormous distance, perhaps even separated by other states in between. His art of fate could indeed act against targets tens of thousands of miles away, but the prerequisite was to establish causality with the other party. Now he had the fishing rod of fate, which indeed provided him a way to use it to establish causality, but to kill those people would require the consumption of chi luck. Waste chi luck on a few clowns from the Destiny Society? Clearly not worth it. It seems, I have only one method to go to Tianjia Province, Su Nan murmured. It appeared to be the only method left. With his current strength combined with foreknowledge and 1,000 changes and 10,000 transmutations, passing through the Demon Sea to other states was not impossible. If he chose to, he could completely have his avatar make the journey. However, the avatar needed to control the power of heaven and earth within the mountain and water gourd to nurture the Jianmu seed, and if it left, there would be no one to help with that for the next few days. Enough, whether the Jianmu is nurtured a day earlier or later doesn't matter much, but knowing that the Destiny Society is plotting against me in the shadows, thinking about how to harm me, yet still ignoring it, that I cannot accept. As thoughts swirled, Su Nan did not hesitate too much and resolutely decided to send his avatar to Tianjia Province. After all, during this time, the avatar has always been running errands for him, and the total time spent controlling the power of heaven and earth to speed up the sprouting of the Jianmu seed is just 3 or 4 days. Given the situation, he did not mind waiting a bit longer. Having made up his mind, he released his avatar. He went over the plan with Avatar Wang Nan. Avatar Wang Nan said, 3 days seems to be a bit too rushed. Su Nan nodded, indeed, if Tianjua Province is separated from Dongchen State by several states, it is absolutely impossible to make it there in 3 days. I wonder if there are any teleport formations between the states. Thinking of this, he immediately shook his head. If there were teleport formations, there would be interactions between the 12 states, and they wouldn't present a state of severed contacts. Of course, it doesn't rule out the possibility that teleport formations really exist but are unusable for some reason. If there are no formations, there should at least be distributed maps or something similar, perhaps there are shortcuts. He pondered another approach. Regrettably, the 12 states came into existence after the times of ancient times. Otherwise, with control over Luo Yu, this demon beast, as well as the resentful demon in the dragon-slaying sword, he could have gotten the answers from those two fellows. If all else fails, he would have to visit Tiangong Pavilion. Tiangong Pavilion was present throughout the 12 states. If they claimed to be unaware of the road to Tianjia Province, that would simply be impossible. He remembered, when he previously tried to purchase mystical techniques from Tiangong Pavilion using foreknowledge, he was informed that those items had all been transported to their headquarters. I wonder if the Great Princess has any information in this regard. Su Nan planned to ask the Great Princess first. He had abandoned the idea of seeking out the few players and returned to picking Star's Peak. You want to travel to other states? A moment later, Su Nan found the Great Princess, and upon hearing his question, she was slightly surprised. I don't have a map of the 12 states either, but as far as I know, the distribution of the 12 states is in a ring pattern. Heaven, Earth, Xian, Yellow, Universe, Vastness. The states of Heaven and Earth are at the center of the 12 states. Beyond Heaven and Earth, there are Xian, Yellow, Universe, Vastness, 6 states, and beyond those, there are the 4 states of East, West, South, and North. From our Dongchen State to the west, across the Demon Sea, the first state to reach would be Huangjia Province, to the north is Northern Ice Province, and to the south is Southern Province. Distributed in a ring? Dongchen State at the outermost perimeter? So, you are saying, if I want to go to Tianjia Province, I need to pass through Huangjia Province first? Su Nan said. He wasn't disappointed. It would be strange if Tianjia Province were right next to Dongchen State. The situation was already favorable as he only needed to pass through one state to reach his destination, rather than several. The Great Princess said, theoretically, that's the case, but it's very difficult in practice. The areas of the Demon Sea between each state are vast and are home to a large number of instinctual resentful demons. No, it would be more appropriate to call them wild beasts. Those demons possess only the instincts of wild animals, and our demon clan would be attacked just the same upon entering. Even emperor-level powerhouses, once targeted by resentful demons, would attract swarms of them. The resentful demons are inexhaustible, and in the end, even an emperor-level powerhouse would only exhaust their strength and be overwhelmed to death. Su Nan nodded. Having heard of the dangers of the demon sea, he was prepared mentally. But what if one is lucky and doesn't get targeted by the resentful demons? With 1,000 changes and 10,000 transmutations, he was confident he wouldn't be targeted by demons and that having an unobstructed path was not a problem. His primary concern was the distance of the journey. The great princess looked at Su Nan strangely, as if thinking of the various divine abilities he possessed. She did not ask further and shook her head, saying, "I haven't been to the demon sea, and I don't know how vast it actually is." After a pause, she added, "However, I once read in ancient books that 500 years ago, an emperor-level powerhouse from southern province successfully passed through the demon sea to our state. That powerful person was very lucky and did not encounter any obstacles. Even so, it took 5 days to travel." 5 days? Su Nan's heart sank. It would take 5 days to reach the next state, and by the time he reached Tianjua province, it would probably be too late. Even if the distance from Dongchen state to Huangzhou province was not as far as that to southern province, it would still take several days. And from Huangzhou province to Tianjua province, it might already be a week later by then. For a brief moment, Su Nan abandoned the plan to cross the demon sea. Am I supposed to just give up like this, he thought, unwilling to let it go. Not yet ready to concede, he continued to inquire, is there any sort of teleportation array or shortcut I could use? Teleportation array. The great princess said, when the heavens and earth shattered in the ancient times, it's said that there were teleportation arrays in various states, which allowed travel between them. But because the distance between the two connecting arrays had become vast, the amount of energy required to use them was terrifyingly immense. Moreover, with the depletion of the heavenly and earthly vitality, neither the human race nor our demon clan could afford such consumption, and those teleportation arrays were gradually abandoned. Without people to maintain them, those teleportation arrays slowly broke down due to various reasons and became unusable. To this day, I have not heard of any intact teleportation arrays in Dongchen state that can transport to other states, let alone to Tianjia province. Gone. Su Nan felt a wave of disappointment. This forced him to abandon his plans to confront the Destiny Society. He sighed inwardly, and just then, the great princess seemed to remember something. Wait, there might still be one intact teleportation array. I've heard that the Tiangong Pavilion discovered an intact teleportation array 100 years ago. But it seems that it has never been used, and I don't know why. Tiangong Pavilion. Su Nan's eyes brightened, and he breathed a sigh of relief. As long as there was a teleportation array, everything else would be manageable. He directly looked to foresee, planning to visit Tiangong Pavilion in his foreknowledge. Since it was a foreknowledge, he didn't plan to use an avatar to go, he chose to send his true body directly. If his true body died, the foreknowledge would end immediately, stopping the loss in time and avoiding wasting foreknowledge times. I wonder how long I can foresee this time. He still had over 40 instances of foreknowledge left, and if nothing unexpected happened, it should be enough to foresee 2 days' time. But this time he was headed to another province, and no one could predict what might happen or what he might encounter on the way. The foreknowledge began. Indeed, as he expected, the 40+ foreknowledge opportunities were not all spent. They were depleted by only a handful. You know that there is a group of descendants from the heavenly race planning to use some method in Tianjua province to impact your luck, causing misfortune to befall you. Unwilling to passively endure, you decide to go to Tianjua province, and an hour later, you leave 10,000 Demon Ridge. 6 hours later, you arrive again at the imperial city of the Great Yu dynasty, and you find that the demonic qi shrouding the Great Yu imperial city has not decreased but increased several times over what it was before. You arrive at Tiangong Pavilion and purchase information related to Tianjia province, paying the price of 10 drops of a king-level demonic beast's essence and blood. You obtain the information you sought. It turns out that during the ancient times, Tianjua province was the center of heaven and earth, the core territory of the human race, and it gave birth to countless powerful individuals. Compared to other regions, the heavenly and earthly vitality there was several times stronger. Regrettably, after the ancient times, as the heavens and earth shattered, Tianjua province was hit first, and its heavenly and earthly vitality ceased. However, as the heavenly and earthly vitality begins to recover now, Tianjua province has gradually regained a portion of its former foundation. Compared to other states, the concentration of heavenly and earthly vitality is relatively more abundant. Moreover, you learn that the Tiangong Pavilion did indeed discover a teleportation array to Tianjia province 100 years ago. However, that teleportation array is located on an island in the Demon Sea. That place is situated in the eye of a storm in the Demon Sea, with an extremely harsh environment, and powerful ancient demons reside there all year round. There is a relic on that island, and 100 meters beneath a stone tablet in a plaza within the relic is where the teleportation array is located. Unfortunately, it is unknown exactly where the corresponding location is in Tianjua province, only the approximate area is known. An unknown location? If it has been used, how can its location be unknown? Could it be that the Tiangong Pavilion has never actually utilized that teleportation array? Su Nan frowned. If that was the case, even if he found the teleportation array, it was very likely to be in vain. But there was no other way, he had to try in order to know. After obtaining the location of the teleportation array, you decide to explore it. 12 hours later, you arrive at a town in Dian County. This town is merely a few dozen miles away from the Demon Sea. Before long, you arrived at the coast of the Demon Sea, which was indistinguishable from a regular ocean, with rare appearances of wild demons near the shore. You encountered several outsiders preparing to enter the sea to slay demons, and you followed them out to sea. During this process, you learned that the Demon Sea, since the heavenly and earthly vitality had further recovered since yesterday, was not at peace, and something seemed to have occurred, dramatically increasing the number of demons near the shore. Something happened in the sea? Could it be? Upon seeing this, Su Nan suddenly had a thought. Could it be related to the impending consolidation of the 12 states? It wasn't an impossibility. As the saying goes, ducks are the first to know when the spring river thaws, so these demons living in the sea would naturally be the first to detect any changes. Of course, it could also be that he was overthinking it. Unfortunately, not long after your ship set sail, it was targeted by sea demons. Your ship was attacked, and the several outsiders were killed by a horde of demons. You used 1,000 changes and 10,000 transmutations to transform into a bird of the demon kind that roamed the skies of the Demon Sea, remaining unnoticed by the demons. 7 hours later, you found the island with the teleportation array, just as you knew, the eye of the storm in this maritime region, where storms raged all year round. The wind here was no ordinary wind but a demonic chi that could obliterate the divine soul, causing one's mind to become clouded. You did not dare to be careless, and using the heavenly demon bone umbrella, you merged into the void, walking through it. A wind that can cloud the mind. No wonder the demons of the Demon Sea are devoid of any reason, it seems to be because of this kind of wind. Horror crossed Su Nan's mind, he was not unfamiliar with such demonic chi. His Call the Wind divine ability could also summon such chi, but unlike his technique, the naturally occurring demonic chi could erode not just flesh and blood. Thankfully, the heavenly demon bone umbrella allowed him to merge into the void and stroll through it, avoiding the effects of the demonic chi. No demons could detect you, and you found the underground teleportation array. However, activating the array required a great deal of essence and blood, which you did not have enough of on hand. You attempted to hunt demons and refine their essence and blood using the Xianhuang refining chi furnace, and 20 hours later, after slaying a large number of demons, you finally acquired enough essence and blood. The teleportation array activated, and you were teleported away from the waters near East Chen State, but unfortunately, your luck was poor. You were affected by an unknown factor during the teleportation, leading to a deviation from your intended destination. A minute later, you saw that you had arrived inside a huge sinkhole. The entry, from such a distance, resembled a round moon hung high, with specks of light sprinkling down from the overhead entrance. Beneath your feet lay massive skeletons, many of which were already weathered and decayed. 100 meters directly in front of you stood a palace with a bronzed sheen. You had a bad premonition and stayed fully alert, daring not to be careless. After ensuring there were no obvious dangers, you headed towards the palace. 2 minutes later, you arrived in front of the palace, only to find that the doors were not closed. The floor inside was covered with dust, unvisited for a long time. Upon stepping into the grand hall, aside from the stone pillars, there was nothing of note until you reached the depth of the hall and saw a withered figure perched in the seat of honor. It was a desiccated corpse, its messy hair obscuring most of the skull, its clothes rotten away, unidentifiable as man or woman, unknowable of how long it had been dead. You did not touch the corpse rashly but continued your search in the hall, and 3 minutes later, after a thorough inspection, you found nothing. Approaching the corpse again, hoping to gather information, you suddenly saw its eyes, previously closed, now open, staring directly at you with a blood-red gaze. You died. Well, what high-level map was I teleported to this time? Staring at foreknowledge, Sunan was somewhat stunned. He had not anticipated such an ending. To be killed with just a glance, that was definitely not something Emperor level could achieve, only a saint level being could possibly do so. Sunan did not know how many saint level beings were in this world, but he was certain, each was an ancient relic, a living fossil. At present, he had clearly been teleported into the lair of some ancient monster. Chapter 402. Space Rift. This time, it's just bad luck that the teleportation had a glitch, but as long as the teleportation array itself isn't the problem, then it's not a problem. Bad luck is manageable, he could try a few more times, but if the teleportation array was malfunctioning, then there would indeed be no remedy. There are still more than 20 foreknowledge times available, so he could continue to use foreknowledge once more. However, as the foreknowledge began, his brow furrowed. Last time he consumed 16 foreknowledge times, this time, it was 18, 2 more than before. In other words, this foreknowledge only gave him an extra 1 or 2 hours compared to the last time. You wish to head to Tianjia province, you know that not far from Dian County lies the Demon Sea, where there is a teleportation array that leads to Tianjia province. An hour later, you leave 10,000 Demon Ridge. Death's foresight provides many pieces of information that are quite general and not detailed. Last time, although he knew about the teleportation array, the specific location was not disclosed by the foreknowledge. He would still have to visit Tiangong Pavilion, otherwise, searching on his own would be no different from looking for a needle in the ocean. Perhaps the foreknowledge that comes every 3 minutes could solve this problem. 12 hours later, you arrive in Dian County. Through 1,000 changes and 10,000 transmutations, you take on the appearance of a bird unique to the Demon Sea, heading towards that island. 14 hours later, you locate the island with the teleportation array. With the aid of the heavenly demon bone umbrella integrating into the void, you dodge the storm and enter the island. No demon can find you, and you discover the hidden teleportation array underground. However, the teleportation array requires a large amount of essence and blood, and you don't have enough on you. You attempt to slay demons, refining essence and blood through the Xianhuang refining chi furnace, and 20 hours later, after slaying a large number of demons, you finally obtain enough essence and blood. You know that if you activate the teleportation array now, it is very likely to be affected by unknown factors and end up with the teleport location deviating from the target. You choose to wait, and 22 hours later, you try to start the teleportation array. To your disappointment, affected by unknown factors, the location of your teleportation still deviates. You find yourself at the bottom of a vast pit. 100 meters away, there's an ancient palace. You know that there is a great danger inside the palace and dare not easily enter it to explore. A minute later, you attempt to harness the power of heaven and earth to soar into the sky, heading for the top of the pit, trying to leave the pit. The exit grows larger in your view, and just as you're about to leave the pit's exit rapidly shrinks. You are horrified to realize you are moving away from the exit. Eventually, you find yourself back at the starting point. You come to the realization that you might be trapped here. You don't give up and try to use the Across the Heavens shift. With the use of Across the Heavens shift, you manage to leave the pit, only to discover that you are on a desolate island. You explore the island, and 2 minutes later, find nothing. Not daring to linger on the island, you decisively harness the power of heaven and earth to leave the island. 3 minutes later, you dash through the vast ocean without direction. While contemplating where to go, suddenly, the scenery in front of you distorts, and you find yourself back in the pit. To your horror, 100 meters away in the palace, a withered figure is watching you. You are dead. You don't know that after your death, that corpse-like being takes on your appearance, replacing you. Even though he changed the timing this time, unfortunate incidents still occurred. Replace me? What's going on? Has this attached itself to me? Sunan's expression darkened. Luck is tied to celestial fortune, and logically, with his current racial luck and celestial fortune, it is impossible for his luck to be so bad. Teleportation shouldn't be consecutively problematic. Right now, teleportation is different from the previous situation of insisting on performing the incense prayer technique despite insufficient celestial fortune. Forcing the technique with insufficient celestial fortune likely leads to trouble. Yet, errors in teleportation locales are low probability events that should not keep happening. Unfortunately, events that should only rarely occur are now happening one after another. Perhaps it's not that my luck is poor which caused me to be teleported to that unknown place, instead being teleported there might be the normal outcome. If there wasn't any mishap, and I teleport smoothly, then that would mean my luck is exceptionally good. Now, Sunan had an unsettling premonition, as if every time he used that teleportation array, he was bound to draw that corpse's attention. Do I possess something that has attracted that corpse? Or is anyone who first uses the teleportation array sent to that place? This foreknowledge revealing what happens after his death. That the corpse slays him and takes on his appearance. Is something to ponder deeply upon. Regrettably, the information provided by the foreknowledge is still too scant to analyze anything useful. Perhaps I can find someone to try it out. His eyes flickered as ideas surfaced. If only the first person to enter the teleportation array would be transported there, it would be one thing. But if the corpse has specifically locked onto him, then the option to leave through this teleportation array must be abandoned, and he would have to find another way. I should have taken advantage of the spatial channel before it closed, directly going to Tianjia province through it. He regretted it somewhat. Now he could use foreknowledge in reality, without having to worry about the dangers that might come from traveling through a spatial channel. As long as the destination of the spatial channel was confirmed, he could almost travel to any province. Now, however, it was too late. Is there another way to reach Tianjia province from Tiangong Pavilion? There are also channels through the Great Yu dynasty and the Demon clan. He thought of Long Yunhan and his group. Those fellows, belonging to one of the top 5 ranking tribes of the Demon clan in East Chen State, would surely know some secrets unknown to ordinary people. Perhaps they had another method. With this in mind, he immediately took action. He only had a handful of foreknowledge times left, not enough to continue foreseeing the future, so he had to act personally now. Over 10 minutes later, he found Long Yunhan and Long Yuanmu, the 2 brothers, who were not with the other 3 at the time. A way to Tianjia province. Brother Wang Nan, why do you want to go to Tianjia province? Long Yunhan and Long Yuanmu were not the great princess, so naturally, they would not answer Su Nan's questions without reservation. When they heard Su Nan asking if there was a way to Tianjia province, both were surprised and looked at Su Nan in disbelief. The 12 states are about to converge, and this process will take at least 10 days to half a month, or at most not exceeding a year. Why would Brother Lang Wu risk going to other states now? Long Yuanmu said. The 2 of you misunderstand. I know my own capabilities, and I'm not actually planning to go to Tianjia province, I'm just curious, Su Nan said calmly, not caring whether the 2 believed him or not. Methods to travel to other states might be known by very few, but they definitely weren't a secret. If the 2 brothers knew, there was no reason to hide it from him. Curious. Indeed, after a glance at each other, both Long Yunhan and Long Yuanmu showed skepticism in their eyes. It seemed that due to their current temporary alliance, the brothers refrained from asking more out of idle curiosity. After some thought, Long Yunhan said, the most direct method to go to Tianjia province is, of course, to cross the Demon Sea. With Brother Lang Wu's current strength, if you're cautious and lucky, it's not impossible. However, since Brother Lang Wu has come to ask us, I assume you won't choose this method. Su Nan nodded, exactly. The Demon Sea is too dangerous. Aside from the Demon Sea, I also know of a teleportation array, but that array is extremely dangerous, perhaps even more so than crossing the Demon Sea. Crossing the Demon Sea was actually not too difficult for him. The problem was the time it would take. The teleportation array, on the other hand, was indeed extremely perilous. Since Brother Lang Wu even knows about the teleportation array, it seems you must go to Tianjia province. Long Yuanmu said. Seeing that the 2 had concluded that he was set on going to Tianjia province, Su Nan didn't try to hide it and admitted, indeed, I have decided that after the Heavenly Demon Grand Ceremony, I will leave East Chen State to visit other states. After the Heavenly Demon Grand Ceremony, the 2 brothers Long Yunhan and Long Yuanmu were relieved. They weren't truly concerned about Su Nan's well-being, what mattered to them was whether they would successfully obtain the Heavenly Demon's inheritance this time. Long Yuanmu said with a smile, since Brother Lang Wu is insistent, we shouldn't say much. We can only wish you good luck, brother. Long Yunhan nodded and responded, Brother Langwu has come to us because you trust us, and we naturally won't disappoint you. We don't know a safe method to travel to other states, but I do know of a way that can lead to any state. Oh? Do you really have a way? Su Nan's eyes lit up. Long Yunhan nodded and said, Brother Lang, have you heard of space rifts? Space rifts? Su Nan frowned. He hadn't actually heard of the so-called space rifts, but since they could let him travel to other states, it seemed similar to spatial channels. Do these space rifts have some relation to the spatial channels that appeared before, connecting to the worlds of the outsiders? He asked. Brother Lang is indeed insightful. Long Yunhan explained, space rifts are a phenomenon that occurs after space has shattered and are indeed similar to the spatial channels that connected to the worlds of the outsiders before. Once one enters it, they can be transported to the other side of space, reaching millions or even tens of millions of miles away in a very short time. The difference is that the spatial channel is relatively stable, with a high probability of successful passage, and the other side of the space is fixed at the time the channel is formed. However, the space rift is extremely unstable. Not only is there a high probability of being trapped forever, one may also be torn apart by the power of space, and the destination on the other side isn't fixed either. Of course, the space rift isn't without advantages. Compared to the spatial channel, the space rift doesn't disappear quickly and can exist for a very long time. Hearing this, Su Nan could no longer contain himself and immediately asked, Where is there a space rift? He was secretly pleased, as this sounded much more reliable than the teleportation array. Although traversing a space rift was also extremely dangerous, just entering without being shredded by the rift was lucky enough, not to mention crossing it to reach an indeterminate location. But none of these were problems for him. Traveling through a space rift obviously wouldn't take too long, foreknowledge of 3 minutes each time would be enough. With his more than 100 instances of foreknowledge, he didn't expect to use them all 100 times, but using them several dozen times should be no issue. He didn't believe his luck would be so bad that he couldn't succeed even after dozens of attempts. Long Yunhan said, As far as I know, there is only one place in our East Chen state with a space rift, and that place is one of the 10 forbidden areas of life in our East Chen state, the Sky Sea Abyss. Sky Sea Abyss. A thought stirred in Su Nan's mind, and information about the Sky Sea Abyss quickly surfaced. He did not know much about the 10 forbidden areas of life in East Chen state. He had only come across some introductions by chance when browsing a forum previously. He remembered that someone had once ranked the 10 forbidden areas of life in East Chen state, and the Sky Sea Abyss was 5th. Moreover, that place was also located in Tianyang County. It was rumored that during ancient times, a terrifying entity from the demon clan fought a decisive battle there with an ultimate powerhouse of the human race. It led to the formation of an enormous abyss, bottomless and unfathomable. Few who entered there ever came out alive, let alone reached its deepest part. Nobody really knew what the deepest part looked like or what it contained. That's because within the Sky Sea Abyss, the power of space was in utter turmoil, filled with spatial fragments that could easily slaughter king-level powerhouses with invisible blades. There were even rumors that the forces left behind by the clash of those two powerhouses during ancient times were still raging inside. Long Yunhan continued, At the very depths of the Sky Sea Abyss, there is a massive space rift that resembles a wound in space, one that has not healed to this day. In theory, passing through that rift could immediately take you anywhere, and some people even speculate that with enough luck, you could use that rift to reach other worlds. Brother Nan, this is the only way I know of. Whether to take the risk is for you to consider carefully, because passing through a space rift to another province is no less dangerous than crossing the Demon Sea, if not more so. Being a genius of the Demon Clan himself, Long Yunhan didn't want to see Su Nan rush to his death and couldn't help but remind him again. Thank you both for your kindness, I will consider it carefully, Su Nan said with a smile, secretly heaving a sigh of relief. From the information obtained at present, the Sky Sea Abyss, despite its dangers, also was not without solutions. Although he had little expertise in the power of space, he possessed the divine ability of across the heavens shift, and with the ability to foresee the future, his chances were very high. Having no foreknowledge times left and the task already completed, there was no good reason to stay in the game, so he exited the game. In reality, the blazing sun was piercing to the eyes, and today was another fine day. Su Nan decisively went to an uninhabited mountain peak in Song Mountain and took out the array disk for induction of Great Sun Fire, beginning to cultivate the Great Sun Golden Body scripture in reality. Practicing in reality did not allow for the acceleration with demon power, but any progress was still better than no cultivation at all. Time passed, and 6 hours went by in the blink of an eye. Sunan stood up, ending his practice. Even without the personal information panel from the game interface, he knew that his progress on the Great Sun Golden Body scripture had increased by another 3% this time. The progress on the Great Sun Golden Body scripture has slowed down lately. Moving forward, I must focus on cultivating the ancient scriptures and also put the blood fire spirit ginseng required for the second level on the agenda, he mused. Chapter 403 Ancient Desolate Curse. After returning to his rented place, Sunan logged into the forum again. He planned to search for information about Tianjua province on the forum. Previously, since he had never considered leaving Dongchen state, he didn't know much about other states and hadn't paid much attention to them. But now, not only did he have to go to Tianjua province, but the 12 states were also about to merge, so naturally, it was time to cram for information. Ever since the first invasion of the Demon Clan and the fall of various countries, with the opening of World Chat, news from all states had long been shared freely. As a result, besides the general sections, the forum also added sections corresponding to the 12 states. Sunan directly chose the Tianjua province section and looked for useful information there. An hour later, he put down his phone, his eyes showing a flash of understanding. Tianjua province is the region where the United States players are located. There are only 3 human influences there, namely Spirit Heart Palace, Zhuang Valley and Shengxiu Gate, which rule over all human domains in Tianjua province. Although the strength of the human race in Tianjua province is also inferior to the Demon Clan and can only struggle to survive, it still ranks among the top in the 12 states, with no shortage of emperor-level powerhouses. Even rumors suggest that in each of the 3 major forces, there are old monsters who have lived for over 1,000 years. Such beings, if they do not die, are definitely like the previous ancestor of the White-Winged Tiger clan, who has already set foot into saint level. Unfortunately, cultivating the bloodline path and attempting to break through to saint level is practically impossible. One misstep could lead to a conflict and loss of control over one's bloodline. Sunan shook his head. The peak of emperor level is already the limit of the bloodline path. So far, even though he is a long way from saint level, he has vaguely come to understand why the bloodline path becomes harder to advance as one progresses further. The bloodline, although seemingly fused with the martial artist to become a part of them, is merely achieving mutual success. At a low level, the bloodline has no peculiarities, but as one's realm grows and the bloodline strengthens, it gradually gains the strength to resist the martial artist's control. This is much like a child. During childhood, parents can scold and punish at will, but as the child grows and matures, it becomes not so easy to do as they please. By the king level, the bloodline already possesses a strength that is beyond the control of the martial artist. One can imagine what it would be like to reach the emperor level. Maintaining control without losing it is already commendable. How could one possibly make a breakthrough to saint level? Among the player factions in Tianjua province, the largest is the Angel Alliance, officially established by the United States. Besides the number 1 ranked Lu Di, the other players ranked in the top 5 of Tianjua province are all from the Angel Alliance. They are truly the dominant force. As for the Demon Clan influences, unlike in East Chen where the demons of the 100 clans vie for supremacy through the Heavenly Demon Grand Ceremony, and ordinary days see no one obeying anyone else apart from the Demon Monarch. In contrast, the Demon Clan of Tianjua province resembles an empire, with every demon under the control of a clan known as the Instant Moth, and the Demon Monarch of Tianjua province also being the ancestor of the Instant Moth. After an hour of gathering information, Sunan finally had a reasonable understanding of Tianjua province. As the once core land of the human race, Tianjua province covered a vast area. Though not the largest of the 12 states, it ranked in the top 3. Moreover, it had the largest human population among the 12 states. A place truly blessed with outstanding people and splendid land. Instant Moth? Why haven't I heard of this clan before? Sunan quickly sifted through his mind for information about this clan. Eventually, he was astonished to find that there was no such clan among the ancient 100 clans he knew of. This was strange. Could it have risen after the ancients? He thought of a possibility. After the ancient times, some once great clans declined, while some smaller clans seized the opportunity to become major clans. Especially since the Demon Monarch of Tianjua province was an ancestor of the Instant Moth clan. With the Demon Monarch as their ancestor, even if the Instant Moth clan only had a few clan members to begin with, over tens of thousands of years of development, they would have certainly become a formidable power. If someone told him the so-called Instant Moth clan emerged after the ancient times, Su Nan would believe it. Thinking further about the Instant Moth clan's racial talent, a glint appeared in his eyes. This Instant Moth clan actually possesses the power of time. Su Nan was astonished. According to information on the forum, some players had seen records in the ancient books of Shengxiu Gate, one of the 3 great human influences of Tianjua province. The racial talent of the Instant Moth clan was named Eternal Instant, capable of stopping the flow of time around a person. A truly terrifying ability. Possessing such a talent, they should have been impossible to miss among the ancient 100 clans. What in the world is going on? He grew more curious. He had a vague premonition that there was nothing simple about the Instant Moth clan. Continuing to peruse through the numerous forum posts, he specifically looked for information pertaining to the ancient desolate ruins. In his previous foreknowledge, it was in these so-called ancient desolate ruins that the people from Destiny Society appeared. However, with so many forum posts to go through, he searched for a while and didn't find the information he wanted. After consideration, he attempted a direct search to see if he could find information related to the ancient desolate ruins. The tactic was effective. With the search, a bunch of posts with the keywords ancient desolate ruins came up. Of course, the vast majority were useless spam posts. Like sifting through trash, Su Nan spent half a day digging through these posts and finally found some useful information. The ancient desolate ruins are the remains left by the great sect of ancient times, the ancient wilderness sect. Legend has it that in an attempt to break through to a certain legendary realm, the sect master used a taboo method to force the breakthrough, resulting in a curse from heaven and earth. Overnight, the ancient wilderness sect was annihilated, all disciples met tragic deaths, and turned into a kind of terrifying vengeful spirit, lingering within the ancient wilderness sect, condemned to an eternity without salvation. Moreover, the area within 100 miles where the ancient wilderness sect was located was affected by the curse, abandoned by heaven and earth, transforming into a land of absolute desolation. That curse still affects that piece of heaven and earth to this day, not having completely faded away. Within that area, the heavenly secrets are chaotic, lacking not only the power of heaven and earth but also devoid of the heavenly and earthly vitality. One cannot cultivate within it, and over time, one's strength might deteriorate. Moreover, if someone with insufficient chi luck enters, it's very probable that their fortune will be impacted and they might encounter misfortune. After reading the introduction, Su Nan couldn't help but feel alarmed. The curse left from ancient times had not dissipated even now. He was very curious about what kind of taboo method the sect master of ancient wilderness sect had used back then. As he continued to browse the forum, another half an hour passed in the blink of an eye. Unfortunately, this time he didn't obtain any particularly useful information. Let it be, this much information is enough, he thought. This trip had been fruitful, as he had essentially found out everything that needed to be known. Just as he was about to exit the forum, suddenly, a post caught his eye and grabbed his attention. It was another post related to the ancient desolate ruins, and it wasn't particularly popular, nor did it have many views. But the information within the post piqued his interest. According to rumors, our Tianjua province's #1 great god Lu De has triggered a task related to the ancient desolate ruins. The post was short, with no pictures or proof, which is why it wasn't very popular. After reading it, Su Nan raised an eyebrow. Now, anything related to the ancient desolate ruins deserved his attention, let alone something simultaneously related to that first player of Tianjua province. A task related to a place like the ancient desolate ruins is likely to be 4-star. I wonder what the content of that task is. While he was curious, he didn't realize that the very Lu De he was thinking about was also thinking of him at this moment. In-game, Tianjua province. A desolate landscape full of mountain peaks stretched as far as the eye could see, numbering unknown. Atop these mountain peaks stood pavilions and lofty halls, which, even though they were now largely ruined, one could still discern the glory that once was. This place was none other than the ancient desolate ruins that Su Nan was focusing on. "Senior, can you really kill Wang Nan like this?" a refined-looking young man asked doubtfully. If Su Nan were there, he would definitely recognize him as none other than the first player of Tianjua province, Lu De. In front of Lu De stood more than a dozen figures in black robes, led by an old man. The Destiny Society. Lu De had actually joined forces with the Destiny Society. "Yes, fifth ancestor, is our method really effective?" Hearing Lu De's words, a few other members of the Destiny Society also couldn't help their doubt and finally voiced the question they'd been wanting to ask. Wang Nan was in Dongchen State, and they were in Tianjia province. If they could kill Su Nan from countless miles away, why hadn't they used this technique earlier? The old man said in a deep voice, "Humph. What do you know? That Wang Nan has obtained a sliver of power from the supreme treasure, and he cannot be dealt with by conventional means. To counter him, we naturally cannot take the ordinary path. This secret technique was given to us previously when contacting the heavenly race. The powerful person of the heavenly race blessed us with it, able to transfer this place's curse onto Wang Nan's body. Originally, this secret technique was just a contingency, to be used in case of necessity, but we did not expect it would really come to this." Having said that, the old man let out a sigh. According to their original plan, by now they should have taken over the real world that the players inhabit, but the outcome was completely beyond his expectation, causing many plans to be altered. Lu Di, with an expressionless face, felt envious in his heart. Envious of the strength Wang Nan possessed. The grudges between the Destiny Society and Wang Nan are known to all players. The commotion the Destiny Society caused trying to find Wang Nan in Hua country was sensational at the time. Everyone knew that the Destiny Society wanted to get something from Wang Nan, but only a very few knew what the Destiny Society was searching for, and naturally, Lu Di was unaware. It was only yesterday, when he encountered these people of the Destiny Society here in the ancient desolate ruins and reached a cooperation with them, that he learned the truth of the matter. Cheating! Wang Nan is actually cheating, that's unfair. Lu Di shouted inwardly. He couldn't have imagined that from the start of the game, Wang Nan had received a sliver of power from a supreme treasure. It was with that sliver of power that Wang Nan was able to rise so rapidly. In Lu Di's eyes, this was tantamount to cheating. He couldn't help but wonder if Zhang Yang and Lang 13 had also cheated. It was clear from Lu Di's expression that something was amiss, and one of the 5 ancestors from the Destiny Society said, "Little guy, don't overthink it, Wang Nan is destined to pay the price for his actions. As long as you cooperate with us, I can guarantee that in the future you will inevitably become the number 1 player in this game. To take control of that supreme treasure, a number of conditions are required, one of which is a player, one with great luck who can bear a sliver of the supreme treasure's strength." Although they had entered the game world, they could not possess the identity of a player, so naturally, they needed to cultivate a player to use for their purposes. Now in the game, the players with the strongest chi luck are Zhang Yang, Wang Nan, and Lang 13. Wang Nan is firstly excluded, and both Zhang Yang and Lang 13 are too powerful and difficult to control, which makes Lu Di, ranked 4th and only at mid-stage Xian level, the most suitable candidate. Lu Di smiled, said nothing, but many thoughts flashed through his mind. He entered the game once again. The rising sun marked the start of a new day. Today is the 7th day of the Heavenly Demon Grand Ceremony, and the end of the grand event was nearing. It was only 8 in the morning in reality, still 4 hours until the game refresh, so Su Nan had to wait patiently. 3 hours later, halfway up Picking Star's Peak, the elimination round began once more. Today, it was the 50-20 competition, nothing exciting, the outcome was already decided with no chance of any mishaps. Soon, time reached midnight. The game refreshed. He checked each of the 3 roles tasks. Unsurprisingly, they were no different from the tasks of the previous days. Since there was still a demon beast on him, the task of hunting demon beasts had refreshed today. Also, tasks like hunting the demonic emperor and the demon king were all intact, and Lang 13's task continued to feature the promotion task of the Heavenly Demon Grand Ceremony. These did not matter, as Su Nan's first move was to look to foreknow and prepare to start foreseeing. Those people from the Destiny Society would make their move against him tomorrow. If he still had no means to go to Tianjia province today, then he would have to find other ways to deal with them. First, let's see if that teleportation array can still be used. He didn't plan to head directly to the Sky Sea Abyss, but decided to try the teleportation array again. He wanted to see whether the corpse was fixated on him or would only target the first person who teleported. This time, he used up 20 chances, 2 more than the last attempt at foreknowing. 20 hours later, you've gathered enough essence and blood and plan to activate the teleportation array. You know that once you use the teleportation array for teleportation, you could likely be affected by unknown factors and sent to an unknown place. You dare not risk it and instead decide to use a king-level demonic beast and an outsider that you've already captured, making them enter the teleportation array with Luo Yu, a controlled demon beast. As the essence and blood is depleted, 1 demon, 1 monster, and 1 person are teleported away. 24 hours later, you gather enough essence and blood for teleportation again. This time, you attempt to teleport personally. With the activation of the teleportation array, you are teleported away but are affected by unknown factors, resulting in a deviation. You arrive at a pit. You're not too surprised and immediately try to find Luo Yu, the Demon King and the outsider, but you don't find anyone here. You realize that Luo Yu has been successfully teleported, and only your teleportation has gone awry. Unfortunately, it's not the person who teleports first that is targeted, it's you. It's a failure. Su Nan's brows were tightly furrowed. The worst he feared had happened. He was still being targeted. As for the reason, he didn't know, but that was not important. This attempt had made it clear to him that he couldn't use the teleportation array. No choice now, I'll have to try heading to the Sky Sea Abyss. I hope the Sky Sea Abyss won't disappoint me. Chapter 404. The Corpse of the Night Patrol. You want to travel to Tianjia Province, but the methods you know of are neither safe nor fast, so you reluctantly decide to try entering Tianjia Province through a space rift. 6 hours later, you arrive at Dian County and find the Sky Sea Abyss, which resembles a great rift valley. Unlike the Rift Valley, however, this abyss stretches straight down. You know that it was created by an ancient battle between powerful ancient figures, and at the very bottom of this ravine lies a space rift caused by that ancient battle that is your target. But what you don't know is that the reason this rift has not disappeared after 10,000 years is not the overwhelming strength of the powerful person who created it, but rather the presence of an unknown entity preventing the rift's closure. There's an unknown existence preventing the space rift from closing. Su Nan was surprised, for knowledge had only just begun, and he hadn't expected to discover such a secret so soon. He couldn't help but feel his heart sink. If the space rift had not disappeared simply because the one who created it originally was exceedingly strong, even with the danger being from the rift itself, with foreknowledge, there might still be a way for him to navigate safely through it. But now, since there's an unknown being maintaining the rift, he seriously doubts whether it would be like the previous teleportation array incident, where unforeseen matters arose. You enter the ravine. Here, the space is chaotic and easy to get lost in, with spatial fragments often shooting out like blades, easily able to slay those of the king level. You can't afford to be careless, so you cautiously probe forward. 8 hours later, you finally arrive deep within the Sky Sea Abyss. You are fortunate, on your way, you have not encountered any significant dangers. Occasionally, bursts of the power of space occur, with spatial fragments shooting out like blades, but you have not suffered any damage. Continuing deeper, you suddenly find several corpses in front of you. To your surprise, among these bodies, there are people you recognize. Among the several corpses, there is a young man you remember by the name of Zhang Wen, a member of an organization known as the Night Patrol. Zhang Wen? How did he end up dead here? Su Nan was startled as a flood of information about Zhang Wen rushed through his mind. He didn't have a strong impression of Zhang Wen, after all, they'd only met once or twice, the first time being when Yang Zheng was planning to capture Old A from the Destiny Society. He was attracted by the battle between the two parties and went over to watch. He originally hid in the dark and did not plan to intervene, but was spotted by Zhang Wen. In the end, he had to step in and kill that fellow from the Destiny Society called Old A, and afterwards, the Destiny Society captured Zhang Wen, attempting to coerce him into surrendering. He hadn't expected that, after 1 or 2 months, their next meeting would be in the Sky Sea Abyss, and that the other party would be a corpse. Zhang Wen is a Night Patrol member, and the others with him are likely Night Patrol members as well. What were they doing in the Sky Sea Abyss? Su Nan couldn't help but wonder. He had never paid much attention to the Night Patrol's movements, even with the occasional interactions or the fact that these Night Patrol members came from the same world as the Destiny Society people, he remained indifferent. Because these people were extremely low-key. The Destiny Society's goal is clear, they want to control the celestial fortune of the real world and retrieve the power to foresee the future from me. They keep opposing me and causing trouble. But the Night Patrol is different, even when they knew I had the bracelet, they showed no intention of taking it by force. Such a group risking entering this place is definitely not ordinary. Su Nan had a hunch that the Night Patrol members must have had a significant reason for their presence here. Perhaps I should ask the Chinese government. The Night Patrol has been with the official side before, the officials should know something. 2 minutes later, you finally reach the deepest part of the Sky Sea Abyss and see the huge space rift. Near the rift, you find more corpses with wounds from spatial fragments piercing through them, just like Zhang Wen's. You don't recognize any of these bodies, but upon close observation, you notice a broken formation near the space rift. The formation doesn't seem to have been there for long, which makes you suspect the night patrol group was involved in some kind of activity here. A formation. Sunan's brows furrowed again. Indeed, the night patrol had their own agenda when coming here. The foreknowledge had already informed him that the space rift was maintained by an existence. Now, with the night patrol coming here and setting up a formation, it was hard not to be suspicious. What exactly do they want to do? No, I should seek out the officials first to get a clear understanding of the situation. He needed to be cautious. If he wasn't going through the space rift, it wouldn't much matter what the night patrol was up to. However, since he planned to enter it, their actions could directly impact his ability to teleport through the rift. With the thought, he made his decision. After this instance of foreknowledge, he planned to contact the officials for some clarity. 2 minutes later, you haven't discovered any other valuable information and prepare to enter the space rift. You know traversing a space rift is fraught with danger and great terror. One misstep could result in death and destruction. You don't dare to be negligent. Using all of your methods, you take out the heavenly demon bone umbrella, and at the same time, you deploy your racial abilities to adjust yourself to the optimum condition. You've entered the space rift. The moment you entered, you plunged into darkness, as if you had entered an endlessly long, endlessly vast black passage. Here, you can't control your direction at all, and can only move forward passively with the flow of the power of space. The power of space surged like tumultuous waves, striking at you. Fortunately, your strength was formidable, your physical body terrifying, and you were not shattered by that force. However, that was not the end. Suddenly, you noticed that the space ahead of you seemed to be distorting, and you were rapidly heading towards that region. You had a premonition that if you entered that region, you would undoubtedly die. At the critical moment, you attempted to use the across the heavens shift, and your silhouette appeared in another region. You successfully evaded a disaster. 3 minutes later, you saw a light appear in the darkness ahead. Subconsciously, you tried to use the across the heavens shift to move towards that light. As you approached the light, a terrifying pulling force came at you the next moment. You couldn't withstand that formidable pull and your body was torn apart. You died. Your first attempt ended in failure. Sunan wasn't disappointed, this was within his expectations. After all, if the space rift was so easy to cross, the sky-sea abyss wouldn't be a forbidden land. What was the deal with the last light, he wondered, puzzled. Regrettably, foreknowledge didn't provide detailed information, and he had no way to guess. He didn't continue to use foreknowledge on the sky-sea abyss. Instead, he planned to send his avatar over first and use foreknowledge right before the space rift. This time, he used up 9 foreknowledge opportunities, and most of the time was wasted on the journey. Even if the space rift can successfully teleport him to another province, it's not guaranteed to teleport him accurately to Tianjia province. Based on my previous guess, to be teleported to Tianjia province by chance, I can only try over and over again. How many times I'll need to try, that remains unknown. In such a case, using up 9 foreknowledge opportunities for just one try is undoubtedly too wasteful. The Heavenly Demon Grand Ceremony is still ongoing. Sunan patiently waited, and soon it was his turn to take the stage. Without wasting too much time, he dispatched his opponent and then turned to leave. Congratulations, you've completed the daily task. Rank among the top 20 in the Heavenly Demon Grand Ceremony, 45 demon power points have been awarded. The first task of the day was completed, but this was just the beginning. He decided to complete the other tasks as well. Congratulations, you've completed the daily task. Hunt down a demon beast, 60 demon power points have been awarded. Congratulations, you've completed the daily task. Hunt down a demonic emperor, 60 demon power points have been awarded. Congratulations, you've completed the daily task. Hunt down a demon king, 45 demon power points have been awarded. Over 10 minutes later, 2 demon kings, 1 demonic emperor, and 1 demon beast were all killed. The usable demon power reached 845 points. More than 800 demon power points, if used to enhance my bloodline, would be enough for me to bring 2 king-level bloodlines to great perfection. Sunan nodded, satisfied, but he had no plans to continue enhancing his bloodline just yet. Even if he did, he would wait until after he had enhanced the state of various ancient scriptures. After once again absorbing the strength of an emperor-level demonic beast, Avatar Wangnan's Sky Demon Devouring God Sutra progressed further. He was just one emperor-level demonic beast short of a breakthrough. Almost there, the last demonic beast won't be too far off. With anticipation in his heart, once Avatar Wang Nan possessed the power of an emperor-level demonic beast, his strength would undoubtedly soar once more. Unfortunately, hunting demonic beasts was Zhang Yang's mission, and hunting demonic emperors was Wang Nan's mission. After completing several tasks, he didn't gain a bit of chi luck. It's time to ask the officials about it. Avatar Wang Nan had already set off for the Sky Sea Abyss and would reach it at the earliest in 6 hours. He would take advantage of this time to inquire about the status of the night patrol from the officials. After some thought, he didn't waste a foreknowledge opportunity but decided to head to Great Capital City in person in reality. Quit game. Under cover of night, he transformed into a flying bird and set off towards Great Capital City. 2 hours later, he arrived in Great Capital City. This time he didn't hide, he appeared directly as Wang Nan. This move was very effective. His appearance was quickly discovered by the official authorities, who sent someone specifically to find him. Wang Nan, we meet again. Over 10 minutes later, in a meeting room at the top of a building, a middle-aged man looked at Su Nan with a smile and said, flanked by 2 soldiers armed to the teeth. Minister Zhao. Su Nan nodded in greeting. The middle-aged man was Zhao Qifeng, the same official from the Great Yu Imperial City who had dealt with him for the Yin-Yang Cross-Realm Disc in the game. I must also thank you for the Yin-Yang Cross-Realm Disc that you provided. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for our soldiers entering the game to grow without 10 days to half a month. Zhao Qifeng smiled. Minister Zhao is being too courteous, it was only a transaction, Su Nan said indifferently. After exchanging some more pleasantries, they swiftly got to the main point. Zhao Qifeng said, Brother Wang Nan is usually so busy, a divine dragon seen in head but not the tail. What brings you to us this time? Without beating around the bush, Su Nan replied directly, I want all the information you have on the night patrol. Hearing this, Zhao Qifeng was startled. He had considered various possibilities but had never expected this one. Then, Zhao Qifeng seemed to think of something and furrowed his brow with some difficulty. Regarding the night patrol, we don't know much either. I am afraid we will not be able to provide much help. It's not that you don't know much, you simply don't want to say, right? Su Nan looked at Zhao Qifeng skeptically, naturally not believing his words. The officials' cooperation with the night patrol wasn't just a day or two, how could they not have investigated the night patrol? Somewhat helplessly, Zhao Qifeng said, to tell you the truth, the information about the night patrol is highly classified. Even I cannot divulge it to you at my own discretion. Highly classified. Su Nan grew interested and even more curious about what kind of information could still be highly classified in this day and age. Staring at Zhao Qifeng, Su Nan considered how to obtain the information. Feeling Su Nan's gaze on him, Zhao Qifeng's pupils flickered slightly. Changing his tone, he continued, however, nothing is absolute. If you can provide us with information of equal value, there is nothing wrong with us telling you everything we know. What do you want to know? Su Nan asked indifferently. We want to know exactly who that person on Song Mountain is. Zhao Qifeng stared intently at Su Nan, asking without hesitation. Hearing this, Su Nan thought to himself, as expected. When he heard Zhao Qifeng seeking information from him, he had a premonition that Zhao Qifeng might ask about Song Mountain. It was also normal, he had repeatedly made impactful appearances as Buddha, and the official would certainly do everything to clarify the situation on Song Mountain as a priority. Keeping his expression unchanged, he said, I do not know the identity of that person. All I can tell you is that their strength is beyond your imagination. Of course, he would never admit that he was the Buddha. After a pause, he went on to say, the heavenly race individual who descended yesterday was of saint level, but unfortunately, he still died. The purpose of his remark was simple, to mislead the official about the capabilities of the Buddha, making them believe that the Buddha could kill a saint-level being. The official was questioning him, undoubtedly suspecting a connection between him and the person on Song Mountain. Now, by deliberately playing up the strength of the Buddha, he could also avoid any suspicion. The heavenly race? Saint level. Indeed. Zhao Qifeng couldn't help but take a deep breath, his shock barely concealed. After seeing the heavenly race shadow yesterday, the official had scoured ancient books in the game extensively. Unfortunately, relevant information was scarce, and in the end, they could only guess based on snippets of information. Now that he had a confirmed answer from Su Nan, despite previous speculations, Zhao Qifeng was still excited. Knowing that their country was under the protection of someone capable of defeating a saint-level being, they didn't have to worry about the threat of annihilation should the game fully descend into reality. At this moment, Su Nan had another thought and said, that individual is collecting incense fire aspiration force. If you wish to receive their assistance, you might consider helping them spread their incense fire. Help them spread their incense fire. Zhao Qifeng's eyes lit up as he couldn't help but ponder the feasibility. A moment later, a tightly wrapped package of files was delivered. Keeping to their agreement, Zhao Qifeng handed over all the information Su Nan wanted. Although he did not get the answer he was hoping for, being able to confirm some prior guesses was also not too bad. Su Nan opened the files and rapidly reviewed them. Initially, he remained calm, but as he read further, his brows furrowed more. Chapter 405. The Night Patrol appeared 3 months ago, a bit earlier than the Demon Game, and along with them, the Destiny Society emerged. When they first appeared, those people were just like ordinary persons and didn't possess any superhuman strength. Although we, the officials, noticed them, we didn't pay too much attention and just kept a close watch. It was not until the internal test of the demon world began that they slowly started to show some extraordinary abilities. The Night Patrol took the initiative to contact us, wanting to cooperate and provide us with strength in reality. The condition for the cooperation was that we, the officials, had to find something for them in the game, a key called the Heavenly Gate Key. Su Nan looked at the thick stack of files in his hand as Zhao Qifeng slowly relayed what he knew. Hearing this, Su Nan's expression remained unchanged, but his heart was stirring with waves. The Night Patrol was actually searching for the Heavenly Gate Key. The Heavenly Gate Key? What is that? He asked, feigning curiosity. Zhao Qifeng shook his head. At first, we didn't know what the Heavenly Gate Key was either, until during a task, our people accidentally came across one. It was a key made of white jade, and the game's description said that collecting 9 such keys would open the Gate of Heaven. What exactly the Gate of Heaven is, we too were curious, so at that time we didn't hand over the key to the Night Patrol. But later on, when the game world descended into reality and the spatial channel opened up, to preserve reality, we had no choice but to produce the Heavenly Gate Key, allowing those people to take action. It was also through that opportunity that we learned some information about the Gate of Heaven from their mouths. According to them, the Gate of Heaven could very well be a mysterious place created out of all the remaining celestial fortune by an extremely powerful force from countless millennia ago, to ensure their descendants could survive the impending cataclysm. Behind that gate lies a transcendent opportunity, which only appears at specific times. Not the gateway to the world where the heavenly race resides? Hearing this, Su Nan's thoughts raced. As for the function of the Heavenly Gate Key, the game's description had always been just one sentence: gather 9 Heavenly Gate Keys to open the Gate of Heaven. At first, he thought the Heavenly Gate Key was just a game prop, something unique to the game, until later, when he obtained one from the storage ring Han Fu gave him, he realized he was wrong. Afterward, he learned that the reason the ancient Heavenly Clan appeared was that someone had opened the gateway to the world of the Heavenly Clan, which made him suspect that the Gate of Heaven opened by the Heavenly Gate Key was very likely that very gateway. At present, Zhao Qifeng's words overturned his guess once more. At the same time, he was puzzled. If a force was destroyed, why would it spend all it had to create an opportunity for their descendants to survive the disaster? It all sounded contradictory. Could it be that the force wanted to rise again from the ashes? But that wasn't right either, since it was prepared for surviving a disaster. It meant that the disaster would come again and would be difficult to overcome. What kind of disaster could recur? A thought flashed through his mind, and suddenly he considered a possibility. Noticing his change, Zhao Qifeng continued, "You must have thought of it, right? Actually, at that time we were also puzzled, but with the public beta test of the game and the appearance of the Luck Child's task, we guessed that the Gate of Heaven is very likely a legacy left from the time before the last depletion of celestial fortune. And the timing of the Heavenly Gate Key's appearance is very likely when the celestial fortune is once again on the brink of depletion. The Gate of Heaven turned out to be a legacy from the last time celestial fortune was exhausted." Su Nan was taken aback. This outcome was something he had never considered. It wasn't his fault, though. The depletion of heaven and earth's chi luck was not something recorded in the ancient books of the human race. Nobody knew about it since the rise and fall of chi luck tides spanned too vast a time. Perhaps there were records in ancient times, but they had been lost over the ebbing flow of time. Zhao Qifeng went on, "The Destiny Society and the Night Patrol come from the same world, and they clearly knew long ago that the celestial fortune would be depleted. To survive this disaster, both parties came to our world, searching for ways to overcome it. However, the two chose different methods. The Destiny Society put all their hopes in the treasure that created the game, which I think you understand. With that, Zhao Qifeng cast a deep glance at Su Nan. Su Nan's expression remained unchanged. The fact that he got that special game bracelet was not a secret. Ordinary players might not know it, but the Chinese government, which had collaborated with the Night Patrol, must be aware. Fortunately, no one knew what abilities that tiny fragment of the supreme treasure had granted him. Seeing Su Nan's expressionless face, Zhao Qifeng continued, while the Night Patrol set their sights on the Gate of Heaven, believing that finding the 9 heavenly gate keys and obtaining what lies beyond the Gate of Heaven could potentially allow them to survive the disaster. Having finished, Zhao Qifeng sighed deeply, his expression filled with helplessness. The Destiny Society and the Night Patrol were both preparing for the impending disaster due to the depletion of celestial fortune, while they couldn't even ensure their own temporary safety. How many keys have the Night Patrol collected now? Su Nan asked the question he was most concerned about. Zhao Qifeng shook his head again, we don't know. We only found 1 key, but those people are also searching on their own. After a moment of thought, he added with some uncertainty, it seems they have some method, some way to use the key we found before, to locate the other keys. Ever since the last time the spatial channel was opened, those people have used it to enter the game, and since then, we've been separated. Now, how many keys those people have found, nobody knows. To search for additional keys with the use of 1 key? Could it be that those people went to the Sky Sea Abyss merely to use the space rifts to travel to other states in search of other keys? Su Nan considered one possibility. If that's the case, then nothing could be better, as long as those people haven't tampered with the space rifts. 9 heavenly gate keys, he had already obtained 4, 2 of which were rewards for ranking first in the game, the other 2 acquired by chance. Out of the 9 keys, he already had nearly half. Unfortunately, the last 12 zodiac reward did not give a heavenly gate key. But this was enough. It was impossible to collect all 9 keys relying on game rewards. Even if the Night Patrol somehow found the remaining 5 keys, it wouldn't matter, they would eventually have to come to him. The reason they haven't come yet might be because of the game's personal space, which likely prevents the Night Patrol's secret techniques from being effective. It seems that the formation must have been set up by the Night Patrol for crossing the space rifts safely. Those people have a way to get through the space rifts without harm. Since the Night Patrol has a safe method of passage, does Luo Yu know about it? He thought about Luo Yu, who he controlled. Luo Yu was still at the peak king level. The reason he had kept Luo Yu until now was that he knew many things about ancient times, which could come in handy at a crucial moment. Although he had examined Luo Yu's memories when the God Soul Seed reached great accomplishment, for a demon beast that had lived 10,000 years, its memories were too vast, and he couldn't possibly review them all. Moreover, the memories viewed through the God Soul Seed had many gaps. With these thoughts, he made some plans. Having obtained the information he wanted, Su Nan returned to Song Mountain and went back into the game. At this moment, Avatar Wang Nan had just arrived at the Sky Sea Abyss as well. The huge gorge stretched straight ahead, cutting through mountains and rivers, cleaving the earth open into an abyss with no visible bottom. Such a spectacle was unimaginable in reality. Entering the gully, Avatar Wang Nan headed straight for the deepest part of the rift. An hour later, he saw the corpse of Zhang Wen, which he had foreseen. The body had many fatal wounds, as if pierced by 10,000 swords, a tragic sight to behold. Su Nan shook his head, not expecting that the first night patrol he had met would end up dead and unattended. With a wave of his hand, a ball of flame fell on the corpse. The fire burned, and within a breath, the body was reduced to ashes. He continued onward. This place, one of the forbidden lands of Dongchen State, was fraught with danger. The power of space was chaotic, with blades formed of spatial forces erupting like storms out of nowhere. An ordinary king-level powerhouse encountering this would almost certainly die. Only those at emperor level could possibly use their domain, formed from the power of heaven and earth, to counter the storm. Avatar Wang Nan had no domain, but his strength was sufficient. Even in his foreknowledge, his true body could safely reach this deep place, not to mention his avatar, forged from divine metal, had physical resilience and healing capabilities far surpassing his true body. Soon, Avatar Wang Nan arrived at the deepest part of the Sky Sea Abyss and saw the space rift and several more corpses of Night Patrol members. This was a massive underground space, and at its center stood the space rift. He had never seen anything so bizarre. The space rift was 2 to 3 meters high, narrow at the ends and wide in the middle, resembling a giant upright eye. Here, the space was extremely chaotic. The space rift was like a gaping mouth, sporadically spewing out spatial blades. Ignoring the surrounding corpses, he summoned Luo Yu. Do you have a way to safely pass through this space rift? A space rift? Luo Yu looked at the eye-like rift before him and immediately connected the dots. Is this the Sky Sea Abyss? Ads by Pub Future. Do you know? Su Nan's eyes lit up. Luo Yu nodded and said, the Sky Sea Abyss has existed for a long time, and on the surface, it was formed by the clash of two god-level powerhouses from the human clan. But many people speculate that it was intentionally created by the human clan. As for the purpose, some guess it was to open a passage to a certain space. As he spoke, he furrowed his brows and said, it's strange, how has this rift remained for so long without closing up? Intentionally created. Su Nan was surprised, he hadn't expected to learn such a secret from Luo Yu. When he thought back to the information from his previous foreknowledge, this possibility seemed not to be unfounded. If that really was the case, then what existence could be maintaining this space rift? With this thought, he asked, do you know that this space rift has persisted for 10,000 years because there is an unknown existence maintaining it? An unknown existence maintaining it. This time it was Luo Yu's turn to frown, clearly not having considered this reason before. Although he didn't know how Su Nan came to know this, he didn't doubt him and thought for a moment before saying, could it be those powerhouses from the ancient human clan? Su Nan shook his head and said, after ancient times, with no heavenly and earthly vitality, all the human experts died off. Who would still be here to maintain it? However, upon hearing this, Luo Yu asked back, who said the powerhouses of the ancient human clan have all died off? Oh? They haven't. Su Nan's heart tightened. Luo Yu said, those saint-level demon emperors from your 12 states haven't died. The ancient human clan had powerhouses as numerous as the clouds, including god level and even above the god level. How could they all die just because the heavenly and earthly vitality was severed? Su Nan was astonished, he hadn't expected Luo Yu to say that. But upon careful consideration, what Luo Yu said didn't seem to have any problems. Since even the saint level among the 12 demon emperors, who have survived from ancient times, haven't died, it appeared even less likely for the stronger beings of god level or above to have passed away. With this thought, Su Nan instantly became unsettled. If the powerhouses of the ancient human clan haven't all died off, then where have they gone? He had never before considered this issue, as the death of the powerhouses of the ancient human clan was an acknowledged fact, and no one questioned it. Now, suddenly being informed that the powerhouses of the ancient human clan might not all be dead, the impact on him was immense. Luo Yu continued, not only that, some of the demon clan's powerhouses probably haven't died either. As to where they all went, I am not aware. I was suppressed a long time ago. Whatever happened at the end of ancient times, I'm afraid only those who experienced it then would know. He paused for a moment, then as if thinking of something, added, to my knowledge, the severance of the heavenly and earthly vitality was intentionally done by your human experts. As for the purpose, that remains unknown. But I am certain it was planned, and your human clan had been plotting it for a long time. Su Nan nodded. Regarding this, he had already discovered the secrets within from the prophecies when he was in the land of the lost, using the ancient god tomb. The human experts back then severed the connection to the heavenly and earthly vitality to buy time for the maturation of that supreme treasure that created the game. With this realization, many pieces of information collided in his mind, and in an instant, Su Nan vaguely understood something. Even if those ancient powerhouses severed the heavenly and earthly vitality to delay the coming of the fourth apocalypse, they wouldn't do so at the cost of total self-sacrifice. With the severance of the heavenly and earthly vitality, the path to cultivation was cut off. If it were one person, sacrificing themselves decisively for the sake of others, it could be a possibility, that person would be a saint. However, something like severing the heavenly and earthly vitality certainly couldn't be decided or accomplished by just one or two individuals. He hadn't thought about this issue before, but now, giving it thought, he realized the problem within. Suddenly, recalling Luo Yu's words and conceiving a possibility, he looked toward the space rift and said, if this spatial rift is truly maintained by those powerhouses of the ancient human clan, could it be possible, as rumors say, that this spatial rift was intentionally created by those powerhouses of the ancient human clan? Those human powerhouses could have traveled through this space rift to another space. This speculation was no less bold. If he was wrong, so be it, but if it was true, it would mean that one day, those vanished powerhouses from ancient times may appear again. Chapter 406, The Creatures After the Fracture. Thoughts flashed through his mind as Sunan looked to foresee. Whether his guess was right or wrong, foreknowledge might be able to give him an answer. Hearing his conjecture, Luo Yu was also stunned for a moment before he regained his composure and solemnly said, "It's not impossible." Those ancient human experts had been planning the severance of heavenly and earthly vitality for some time. Perhaps this place is an escape route they left for themselves. If that's the case, we might be able to reach the space where the ancient powerhouses reside through this space rift. Long Yunhan had said something similar before. Sunan nodded, increasingly convinced that his guess was correct. Do you have a safe way to pass through the rift? Returning to the previous question, Sunan asked again. Luo Yu shook his head. Beyond the space rift lies dark space, where the power of space is extremely disordered. Unless you are a saint-level expert who has mastered the power of space, no one dares to claim they can safely traverse a space rift. Saint-level experts can master space? No wonder only saint-level experts have been known to create spaces. Not too disappointed, he looked again at what seemed to be a formation set up by the night patrol and asked, "What about that formation?" Luo Yu approached the damaged formation, studying it closely. After a while, he discerned something and said, "This seems to be some kind of interdimensional teleportation array." Teleportation array? Sunan furrowed his brows, this answer once again surprising him. Why would a teleportation array be set up here? Luo Yu explained, constructing a teleportation array isn't simple, it requires opening a spatial channel. The teleportation arrays in your world were left by the ancients because opening a spatial channel requires at least a saint-level expert. However, it's not impossible for those below saint level to open a spatial channel and set up a teleportation formation, they would need to find a place where the fabric of space is weak. Despite its dangers, this place has extremely fragile space, making it the easiest spot to pierce through a channel. So that was how it was. Sunan nodded in understanding, finally grasping the situation, then asked, "Do you have the ability to set up such a teleportation array?" Letting him down, Luo Yu shook his head once more, indicating he couldn't do it. Left with no alternatives, he could only use the previous method, trying again and again in foreknowledge. The first foreknowledge began. You come to the deepest part of the sky sea abyss, in front of you is a space rift caused by the great battle of ancient powerhouses. You suspect that this rift was intentionally created by them. Passing through this space rift may lead to other worlds and could also allow you to quickly reach other provinces. You plan to use the space rift to travel to Tianjia province. After some preparations, you step into the space rift and successfully enter the dark space beyond it. Here, the power of space surges like tidal waves, chaotic and twisted, home to great terror. Fortunately, your strong physique prevents you from being obliterated by the forces of space as you go with the flow and continue moving forward. A minute later, you suddenly encounter a terrifying space storm that threatens to tear you apart. Unable to resist, you immediately use Across the Heavens shift. Successfully avoiding the space storm, you continue to move forward under the assault of the space tides. However, it isn't long before the space around you distorts, forming a vortex. Sensing danger, you dare not get pulled into the vortex and have no choice but to use Across the Heavens shift again. 2 minutes later, the surrounding power of space suddenly boils, the assaulting tides growing stronger, aiming to obliterate you. With no other option, you use Across the Heavens shift for the third time. You successfully escape, but unfortunately, this does not mark the end. A space fault appears ahead. Entering it would subject you to immense force and flatten you. Foreseeing the danger, you are compelled to use Across the Heavens shift once more. 3 minutes later, the space around you collapses, and this time you don't escape the calamity. You died. What's going on? Am I being targeted? The first foreknowledge ended in failure, encountering 5 life-threatening crises within 3 minutes. Moreover, the foreknowledge did not provide any hints about his previous speculations, this time, it was an utter failure. He looked at Luo Yu and asked, "Do you know why entering the space rift results in a succession of different crises?" A succession of different crises. Luo Yu seemed puzzled, then thoughtfully said, "To my knowledge, dark space naturally disallows any entry, possessing the trait to eliminate anomalies. It will actively expel intruders." Actively expel intruders. Sunan let out a sigh of relief, as long as he wasn't being targeted, there wasn't a big problem. Waiting 1 to 2 minutes, the foreknowledge continued. Unsurprisingly, he failed again, but this time he lasted 2 minutes longer, using up 2 foreknowledge attempts. Without giving up, he continued to seek foreknowledge. If once isn't enough, then twice. If twice isn't enough, then 3 times. I believe that as long as there are enough attempts at foreknowledge, there's no way I can't foresee what I want, he muttered. Unfortunately, the ability to use across the heavens shift 4 times is enough to avoid 4 crises, but it's still far from sufficient. The number of foreknowledge times on the panel continued to deplete. In the blink of an eye, 10 attempts were used up. Within these 10 chances, he entered the space rift a total of 6 times. He noticed that every entry into the space rift led to different scenarios, as if each crisis was randomly generated. Finally, after the 8th entry into the space rift, something different happened. Congratulations, your luck has played a role. Suddenly, a light band about 2 meters long appeared in front of you. You subconsciously used the across the heavens shift, heading toward the light band. Upon your body touching the light band, in an instant, a bright light flashed before your eyes, and you shot out from the endless darkness. Congratulations, you have successfully traversed the space rift. Chi luck played a role. Sunan's eyes lit up. After so many predictions, he finally succeeded once. But this was only the beginning. It was still uncertain where the space rift would take him, and the first time was unlikely to be in Tianjua province. Snow was drifting down. You find yourself atop a snowy mountain, looking around to see a world of ice and snow. Not knowing where you are, you randomly choose a direction and proceed. 3 minutes later, you have flown tens of miles but still haven't encountered any martial artists or demons, as if this place is an absolute desolation. End of first prediction. Would you like to continue? Continue. You arrive at an unfamiliar place, eager to find out where you are. 1 minute, you have not encountered anyone and must continue onward. 2 minutes later, you suddenly realize that a group of people is flying toward you from ahead in a hurry, looking disheveled and urgent. These people are at least king level. You quickly approach and reveal your intentions. Although the other party is wary of you, they do not attack you. 3 minutes later, you finally learn that you have arrived in Northern Ice Province, one of the 12 states, and your current location is the endless icefield. The people you see are martial artists from the Ice Soul Palace, one of the human influences of Northern Ice Province. They were originally here to suppress the demonic beasts but didn't expect the beasts to be far stronger than they imagined, incurring heavy losses and ultimately fleeing in disarray. End of second prediction. Would you like to continue? Northern Ice Province. Sunan was disappointed, as this was not the place he wished to be, and yet, it was a pity. Northern Ice Province was undergoing a demon catastrophe, an existence that others naturally shunned. But for him, it was an opportunity to enhance his strength. Not only could he gain demon power, Emperor-level demonic beasts were crucial for the advancement of his Sky Demon Devouring God Sutra. No rush, the final demon will always be there. Maybe Tianjua province also has demons appearing. Perhaps because of him, several demons in Dongchen state had been passively slaughtered, and to date, there have been no signs of a demon catastrophe. The only place he knew that might have an Emperor-level demonic beast suppression was beneath the Great Yu Imperial City. However, the strength of the demonic beast in Great Yu Imperial City was highly likely to be extremely strong, possibly even peak Emperor level, not something he could handle. He didn't continue the previous prediction because going to the Northern Ice Province now and continuing to predict would be a waste. After a moment's wait, he chose to reset prediction. Prediction after prediction, death after death, it seemed like an endless cycle, repeatedly starting over. Eventually, on the 23rd prediction, his chi luck played a role again. Congratulations, your luck has played a role again. A giant wave swept through, and you were suddenly thrown from the space, arriving in a desolate mountain range. You choose a direction to fly forward, and 2 minutes later, you come across a small village. Just as you approach the village, an invisible barrier blocks you. Your arrival alarms the villagers, and a crowd of them rushes out. You notice that among these villagers, whether elderly or children, all are martial artists. You quickly explain your intentions, and 3 minutes later, you learn that you've arrived in Huangjua province, and this village in front of you is called Demon Suppression Village. The village has been guarding this place generation after generation solely to suppress a terrifying demon god beneath the village. However, as the vitality of heaven and earth reawakens, the suppressed demon stirs restlessly. End of first prediction. Would you like to continue? No. After a moment, prediction restarted. The benefits of having great luck showed up as he triggered luck repeatedly in the next dozens of predictions. However, Sunan could never feel happy about it. You say I have bad luck, yet almost every 5 to 10 predictions, I trigger luck. You say I have good luck, yet after so many predictions and triggering so many instances of luck, not once did it go as I wished. Entering Tianjia province. Half an hour passed. The available number of foreknowledge times on the panel now only remained 40. During this period, he had visited North Ice Province, Huangjia Province, Earthjia Province, Xianju Province, Zhouju Province, and Xiju Province, a total of 6 provinces, but he just hadn't made it to Tianjia Province. Moreover, he discovered a problem, that every time he passed through a space rift, the place he arrived at was not a common place. It was either some extreme lands, or places of great danger. Regarding this, Luo Yu's explanation was that those places might have relatively weaker spaces. What a pity, my incense fire aspiration force hasn't recovered yet, otherwise, I would have tried using the incense prayer technique. The foreknowledge continued. After 3 times, the foreknowledge once again revealed different information. However, this time Sunan's expression was grave. Under the buffeting of the power of space, you kept moving forward until suddenly you saw a pair of eyes in the darkness. They were a pair of huge eyes presenting a shade of azure, with vertical pupils resembling a wisp of ghostly blue flames burning, especially conspicuous in the dark space. Eyes. Are there creatures after the space rift? Sunan was taken aback in his heart. After dozens of foreknowledge sessions, this was the first time he encountered something other than the rift in space, and it was a creature. You realized that the other party might be a terrifying creature hidden in the dark side of space, its aura so frightening that you couldn't catch your breath. Curious in your heart, you wondered what kind of being could survive in the dark side of space filled with crisis at this moment. Suppressing the impulse to use across the heavens shift to flee, you let the waves formed by the power of space carry you forward, wanting to clearly see what the creature looked like. 3 minutes later, you finally approached the owner of the huge eyes, and through the darkness of space, aided by the glow emitted by the other's eyes, you made out the head of the creature. Covered with huge azure scales, the creature's head resembled the head of a dragon demon, but compared to a dragon demon's head, this creature's head seemed more ferocious and terrifying. The being stared at you, and faintly, you sensed a strangeness and doubt in its eyes. Suddenly, the entity seemed to find something on you it disliked and growled softly at you. You're dead. Before dying, you realized that this strange creature was likely related to the being preventing the space rift from disappearing. Something similar to a dragon. Is this entity the one preventing the space rift from disappearing? Sunan was astonished. This foreknowledge directly overturned his previous speculations. He had initially thought that in the previous foreknowledge, the one preventing the disappearance of the space rift was a human expert, but now it seemed it wasn't. Thus, whether the ancient human clan powerhouses indeed moved from the present space rift to another space was also questionable. What exactly is that creature? Sunan's heart was filled with curiosity, and he looked at Luo Yu again, asking, do you know of a creature that lives after the space rift, with azure scales, azure eyes, and a head that resembles a dragon? Azure scales, azure eyes, a dragon-like head. Luo Yu was puzzled, not understanding why Sunan was asking this. After pondering, suddenly, he thought of something, his expression becoming solemn. Could it be? Speaking, he again seemed uncertain. Apparently, the being he thought of was extraordinary. What is it? Sunan asked. Azure scales, azure eyes, capable of moving through dark spaces. To my knowledge, there seems to be only one existence that fits these characteristics. It could be Qinglong, one of the 12 auspicious beasts. Qinglong. This time Sunan was completely unsettled. To think that the foreknowledge had encountered Qinglong, one of the 12 auspicious beasts, and it was a living Qinglong at that, Sunan suddenly felt it was preposterous. This trip to the Sky Sea Abyss had shocked him too much. It was already enough to know that those ancient warriors might not have perished, but now in his foreknowledge, he directly encountered a living Qinglong. Luo Yu said, Qinglong is proficient in the power of space and can move through various spaces. The divine dragon, elusive as it is, naturally can also live in the dark side of space rifts. Sunan nodded, although this was only Luo Yu's conjecture, he had a premonition that it was Qinglong. Chapter 407, the emergence of the relic. If that were the case, perhaps his earlier speculation wasn't entirely wrong. The Azure Dragon is an auspicious beast, it's possible that it's related to the humans, possibly left here by an ancient human clan powerhouse to guard this space rift. Thinking this, he immediately asked, in ancient times, which influence's auspicious beast was the Azure Dragon? Luo Yu shook his head. The Azure Dragon is the leader of the 12 auspicious beasts. Even in ancient times, it was always a creature of legends, rarely encountered, much less raised by any influence. Not one. Su Nan felt somewhat disappointed. Then, recalling the Azure Dragon's expression when it saw him in the foreknowledge, he roughly understood why the Azure Dragon revealed confusion and ultimately anger in its eyes. Since the Azure Dragon is an auspicious beast, and he carried the aura of the dragon turtle, perhaps that's what caused the beast's confusion. Now, his avatar was a demon beast, using Wang Nan's fate pattern. Though capable of 1,000 changes and 10,000 transmutations, and disguised with a pseudo-breath stone, he was essentially a demon beast. In the end, the Azure Dragon must have sensed the demonic chi on him, felt repulsed, and killed him. If my true body were here, perhaps meeting that Azure Dragon might lead to something different, Su Nan couldn't help but think. Unfortunately, the foreknowledge was of what would happen in the next 3 minutes. If he entered the space rift right then, he could meet the Azure Dragon again. But by the time his true body arrived, the moment would have passed, and to encounter it again, he would not know how many times he'd need to predict. He shook his head, deciding not to think about it anymore. After a moment, he continued with the foreknowledge. In the following predictions, he did not encounter the being that resembled the Azure Dragon, and nothing out of the ordinary happened on the dark side of the space rift. As always, Su Nan kept encountering numerous dangers until his death. After more than a dozen predictions, his chi luck finally triggered again. Congratulations, your chi luck has taken effect. A flash of light suddenly appeared in front of you, and as soon as it manifested, it disappeared with incredible speed. You reacted swiftly, seized the opportunity, and immediately employed the across the heavens shift, arriving close to the flash of light. Passing through it, you left the space, and suddenly, everything brightened before you. You appeared above a vast lake, where tumultuous waters surged and several figures were battling, unleashing fearsome strength. You instantly understood that the white light you saw was the terrifying strength of those fighting, temporarily tearing open the space. Noticing your sudden appearance, the combatants all paused briefly, but upon realizing you were merely at the early king rank, they paid you no further attention. You discovered that the battling parties were the human and demon clans, both sides having king-level powerhouses and emperor-level powerhouses, all incredibly powerful. Beneath the combatants on the Great Lake, something was emerging. You cautiously did not join the battle, instead moving toward the crowd observing from the periphery of the lake. 3 minutes later, you learned that this place was indeed the Tianjua province you wanted to visit. End of first prediction. Do you wish to continue? Tianjua province. Su Nan's eyes lit up. After so many predictions, he finally succeeded. Without hesitation, he immediately took Luo Yu back into the mountain and water gourd, then stepped into the space rift. Each entry into the space rift varied, and should he delay, even if he entered, he wouldn't encounter the same scenarios as predicted. Unlike the predictions, where he could only feel the eeriness and danger through text, now he personally experienced what terror was. He faced waves capable of easily tearing apart someone of the king level, feeling as though he himself could be shattered. Not daring to be careless, he prepared to use the across the heavens shift at any moment. Finally, 2 minutes later, his chi luck came into play, and he used the across the heavens shift the first chance he got. The scenery shifted, darkness abruptly faded, and before him appeared the vast expanse of the lake. The lake was probably turbulent due to the forces clashing on its surface, boiling and churning with immense waves. Su Nan focused on the battling parties, the humans and the demons. There were 3 emperor-level and 5 king-level experts among the humans, while the demons had no fewer than 5 emperor-level beings, showing overwhelming numbers. Facing the demons, the lesser numbers of human experts could only defend passively. Upon his sudden appearance, both parties turned to look. At this moment, Su Nan maintained a human appearance. His 1,000 changes and 10,000 transmutations combined with the pseudo-breath stone obscured his demon nature. To them, he was seen as human. Recognizing him as human, the human fighters were first delighted, but upon noticing his level, they were all disappointed. Although they didn't understand how Su Nan could suddenly appear there, an early king rank person wouldn't be of much help, Sunan ignored the battling factions and looked down at the lake below. The water was muddied, and he could barely make out something enormous beneath the surface. What is that? Sunan stared at the presence under the water, his eyes narrowing. He instantly realized that the battle up here was over the thing under the water. His vision was hindered, making it difficult to see clearly, but that didn't matter. Even without using his eyes, he could see clearly with the power of the divine soul. His divine soul dove down, and at several tens of meters below the water, an enormous submerged island entered his mind. If it had been just an ordinary island, that would have been one thing, but above that dark island, an invisible force prevented his divine soul from exploring further, blocking all attempts to probe. And the dark island seemed to be lifted by a force, rising slowly, about to emerge from the water and see the light of day again. Could this be ancient relics? Sunan suddenly thought of a possibility and immediately looked to foreknowledge. You have arrived in Tianjua province, and you are in luck, having encountered the emergence of ancient relics left by an ancient powerhouse as soon as you arrived. For the inheritance and treasure that may exist within these relics, the human and demon clans have come to blows. You did not act rashly but decided to wait and see. You stay away from the center of the battle and join the crowd watching the battle at the lake to gather information. A minute later, you learned that the battling sides are one of the three major human influences in Tianjua province, Shangxiu Gate, and this is Hanli Lake controlled by Shangxiu Gate, right at the boundary with the demon clan's territory. An hour ago, the heavenly and earthly vitality here suddenly erupted, affecting the vitality within 100 miles radius and drawing both Shangxiu Gate and the demon clan here. It was only after arriving that everyone discovered the emergence of ancient relics. To fight for the relics, both sides went to war. You decide not to intervene and continue watching the battle. 2 minutes later, the waters of the lake surge even more violently, and the ancient relics at the bottom of the lake gradually surface. After a moment of intense battle, a human emperor-level powerhouse suffers a heavy blow and is forced to withdraw, increasing the pressure on the remaining Shangxiu Gate forces, and the situation turns dire. 3 minutes later, just as the remaining Shangxiu Gate forces are gradually getting overpowered and might be completely defeated at any moment, 2 more Shangxiu Gate Emperor-level powerhouses arrive just in time to stabilize the situation. End of first prediction. Do you wish to continue? It really is ancient relics, what a coincidence. Sunan sighed. Perhaps this was the role of Chi Luck, for him to come across this as soon as he arrived. At the same time, he felt fortunate that if these people had not acted and broken the space, he might not have been able to arrive here at all. According to the information I got before, there's a high probability that there's the inheritance of an ancient mighty one inside the ancient relic. If I can get the inheritance, I can gain a great amount of Chi Luck. Sunan's eyes flickered as he pondered whether he should join in the competition later. Whether it's the inheritance or Chi Luck, both are great things. For ordinary players, acquiring either could send them soaring to great heights. Of course, Sunan also wanted them, but right now, there were a few too many emperor-level powerhouses present. Leaving aside the human experts, there were 5 demon powerhouses, and those human experts wouldn't likely stand by and watch the inheritance on their territory go to someone else. So, if he really did intervene, he might face a joint attack from both humans and demons. This wasn't reality, he didn't have the boost of supreme divine soil. With the power of his current avatar, even with the god-descending talisman that could bring down the strength of his true body, he could at most defeat 3 early-stage emperor-level opponents. Beyond that, he would be powerless. Of course, if he used all his methods including Apocalypse Heavenly Thunder, Life and Death Mirror, and Fishing Rod of Fate, he wouldn't fear facing many emperor-level opponents. But whether the investment would be proportional to the gains was uncertain. Thinking of this, he looked to foresee again. The consecutive use had reduced his over 100 foreknowledge opportunities to just over 20. These opportunities are somewhat limited. Trying to snatch the inheritance under the noses of numerous emperor levels is extremely difficult. Sunan hesitated but didn't want to give up just like that. After thinking it over, he decided to give it a try. If he hadn't encountered it, it would be another matter, but now that he had, it was his chance, and he had no habit of willingly handing over his opportunities to others. To make the most of the 20+ foreknowledge opportunities, he naturally had to use Death's foresight. But using Death's foresight required restraint. He must commit suicide actively in the foreknowledge. Otherwise, 20 opportunities might be exhausted in one go. Let's use one foreknowledge opportunity to see the situation before deciding, he thought. But before that, I need to get out of here first. Since his arrival, it had only been a few breaths, and he was still standing on the surface of the lake, the battlefield of the great battle between the two sides. Staying here, he would soon become a target for the demon clan's attacks. He picked a direction at random and quickly left. Unlike in the foreknowledge, he did not head towards the crowd watching the battle but left directly. He was still in the guise of Wang Nan, and among those watching were surely players. If he was recognized, the news would probably quickly reach the ears of the Destiny Society, which would not be conducive to his next moves. Seeing him leave, the king-level martial artists from Shangxiu Gate were at a loss for words, clearly wanting to call him back to help deal with the demon clan. Su Nan's figure disappeared, and he walked away without looking back. No one knew that a moment later, he had already returned to the same place, only this time, he came as a spiritual level player. By the lakeside, hundreds of players gazed out, lamenting that the vast Hanli Lake was too large, which meant they could barely make out the figures in the midst of battle at the center of the lake. Ancient ruins. Ha ha ha, perfect, the inheritance of these ancient ruins is destined to be mine, word. At that moment, a loud laugh rang out, as dozens more players hurried over. Among these players, the one leading was a strapping young man with a large build. Astonishingly, he was a Xian-level player. It's the Pantheon. Seeing the newcomers, the onlooking players' faces changed, and they stepped aside to give way. The Pantheon. Su Nan's heart stirred slightly, and information about this guild surfaced in his mind. In Tianjia Province, the Angel Alliance directed by the officials of the United States reigned supreme among player guilds, and right beneath the Angel Alliance was the guild established by Lu Di. And this Pantheon, it was Lu Di's guild. Coincidentally, the human influence that Lu Di belonged to was also the Shangxiu Gate before his eyes. Su Nan shook his head inwardly, not particularly concerned. Something that even emperor-level powerhouses were vying for, a group of only spiritual-level players, no matter how many, were merely delivering themselves to death. However, observing these players, he felt another surge of inspiration. This trip, his long-stalled Wrath of the Demon Monarch task might be able to continue. His gaze turned to foreknowledge, and he began to proceed with the foresight plan as previously arranged. You have come to Tianjia Province, and coincidentally, the place of your arrival just happens to be where ancient ruins have emerged, and you're not about to pass up this opportunity. You plan to play it by ear and seize your fortune. As the ancient ruins continue to surface, more and more powerful individuals arrive, and eventually the number of human emperor-level experts and demon-powerful persons is evenly matched, with 6 on each side. Both sides engage in a fierce battle, with neither able to subdue the other, leading them to cease combat eventually and wait for the relic to surface in this world. An hour later, the relic finally emerges fully from the water, revealing a small island with a radius of 1,000 meters, crowned with over 100 ancient buildings. With the island's emergence, the power shrouding it vanishes, and more than a dozen human experts along with demon-powerful persons rush toward the island together. You take this opportunity to blend into the void with the heavenly demon bone umbrella, also approaching the island, attempting to find your fortune while the chaos ensues. A minute later, you arrive on the island, where human experts and demon-powerful persons break into battle once more. Thanks to the cover provided by the heavenly demon bone umbrella, you remain undetected. Quickly scouring the island, 2 minutes later, you have roughly searched half the island, yet you find that everything is quite ordinary with no special existence to be found. 3 minutes later, you have roughly searched the entire island and still, you find nothing. Dissatisfied in your heart, you choose to commit suicide and perish. The preset half an hour had passed, and he died by suicide, just in time for the relic to appear. Regrettably, he gained nothing. How could there be nothing? Su Nan frowned, the relic had only just appeared, it was impossible that everything inside had already been taken, right? But if no one had entered, where were the things inside? Where was the inheritance? Strange. Su Nan frowned. After pondering, he decided to wait for another 10 to 20 minutes before attempting to foresee again. After the previous emergence of the relic, he was only given 3 minutes to search, which was obviously not enough time. This time he would foresee later, which would naturally give him plenty of time. 20 minutes later. He commenced the foreknowledge once more. You search on the island, and after about an hour, you have checked every building on the island but still have come up empty. Mystified, what you do not know is that there indeed is a legacy left by a powerful entity here, but such an inheritance is not attainable by anyone without destiny, you and the inheritance are not fated. Chapter 408. I'm not the fated one. Su Nan was surprised. This was the first time he saw in his foreknowledge that due to lack of fate, he could not obtain an opportunity. What is fate? It is nothing more than related to chi luck, related to causality. His chi luck far surpassed ordinary people, yet now he was deemed fateless. I would like to see who will eventually obtain the inheritance here. Su Nan became interested and stopped thinking about immediately acquiring the inheritance. He wanted to see who would obtain the thing he was deemed unqualified to receive. Without continuing to use foreknowledge, he simply waited, planning to directly foresee what would happen in the next day after the relic appeared. The great battle in the lake went on. Powerful individuals from Shengxiu Gate were gathering upon receiving the message. Soon, the initially disadvantaged Shengxiu Gate caught up with the demon clan in the number of emperor-level powerhouses. With evenly matched strengths, the battle eventually ceased. It must be said, the human influences in Tianjia province were indeed strong, standing against the demon clan without falling short. Compared to other provinces, where the human influences were heavily oppressed by the demon clan, the situation here was much better. Of course, this was mainly because this lake was Shengxiu Gate's territory. As for something within their own domain, how could Shengxiu Gate easily let demons take away what should belong to them? The number of onlooking players grew, everyone eager to test their luck, unafraid of death and hoping to get a share of the spoils. Finally, the island beneath the water's surface completely emerged, exposed to everyone's sight. The battle erupted once again. Members of both clans charged toward the small island simultaneously. Su Nan looked at the panel and began to use his foreknowledge. This time, he did not limit the number of foreknowledge attempts, he also wanted to see how long he could foresee this time. There were 23 remaining foreknowledge times on the panel. However, this time, the panel consumed 16 foreknowledge times. He could probably foresee around 8 to 9 hours into the future. Seeing this, Su Nan frowned. In foreknowledge, even if the avatar died, as long as the true body was not dead, the foreknowledge would continue. Now, after 8 or 9 hours, he had died, indicating there were issues with his true body. In an instant, he thought of a possibility. He had failed to stop the actions of the Destiny Society this time. The relic left by an ancient powerhouse has appeared. You know that you are fated not to directly obtain the inheritance, but you are unwilling to give up easily and are curious about who will eventually obtain it. Using the heavenly demon bone umbrella, you hide in the void, arriving above the small island, secretly observing the changes on the island. An hour later, the conflict between Shengxiu Gate and the demon clan paused, and only then did people astonishingly discover that there was nothing on the island. 2 hours later, after having been searched over and over again, the small island revealed no trace of inheritance. Not even a single treasure was found by anyone. Everyone speculated that perhaps someone had entered the relic before its emergence, acquiring the inheritance and leaving behind an empty island. 6 hours later, groups of outsiders who had heard the news came to search the island, yet still, no one found anything. 10 hours later, the outsiders visiting the place gradually decreased. In their view, this was just an empty island, and the inheritance on the island had long been claimed by someone else. The outsiders gradually left, but you did not give up. You knew there must be inheritance on the island, it's just that no one was fated to obtain it. 12 hours later, patience pays off, and you suddenly see that an outsider who had just arrived picks up an item inadvertently, triggering a sudden burst of light. You see clearly, it was a fragment of a stone spear from a stone statue in front of a stone hall. The spear was ordinary, having been examined already by several outsiders prior to this. The stone spear shone brightly, but the light quickly faded. However, this moment stimulated a demonic emperor who had been also secretly watching to take action. The outsider was blasted to death, but the fragment of the stone spear returned to its ordinary state, and no matter what methods the demonic emperor used, it could not be restored to its extraordinary state. You, however, knew that at the moment when the outsider picked up the stone spear, the inheritance within it had already been obtained by them. A fragment of a stone spear. Su Nan was surprised once again, not expecting the inheritance to appear in such a way. Now, this could be a bit tricky. In the foreknowledge, it was mentioned that other outsiders had inspected the stone spear before but did not trigger any changes. This means that obtaining the inheritance within the stone spear required some special conditions. As for what those conditions are, he was yet to know. He could only take one step at a time, and if he truly could not obtain the inheritance, he had no choice but to let it go. The inheritance was obtained, and you had no choice but to give up. 9 hours later, you arrived at one of the forbidden lands in Tianjia province, the ancient desolate ruins. This place was once the site of a sect known as the Ancient Desolate Sect. There are rumors that the origins of this sect are extremely ancient, ancient enough to trace back to the era once called Ancient Desolation. You know that the ruins are filled with curses, and you dare not be careless. 1 minute later, you cautiously enter. However, the moment you stepped in, you suddenly realized that your true body far away in Dongchen state was affected and the life wheel scripture within you started to rapidly rotate. You understood this to be the influence of the curses, and your life wheel scripture was helping you to resist the power of those curses. 2 minutes later, as you delved deeper into the ancient desolate ruins, the curse from the ruins grew stronger, and the life wheel scripture within you spun faster, gradually feeling out of control. You are astounded. The curse of the ancient desolate ruins is far stronger than you anticipated, and you can't understand why others enter without issue. 3 minutes later, you arrive deep within the ancient desolate ruins, where you finally find the member of the Destiny Society hidden at the core of the relics. The members of the Destiny Society also notice your arrival, panic-stricken, but just as you step into the core zone of the ancient desolate ruins, the life wheel scripture within your true body spins even more frantically. Eventually, your life wheel scripture still fails to withstand the curse within the ruins. You die. Before your death, you realize that you were targeted by the heaven and earth curse of the ruins, specifically targeting the life wheel scripture inside your body. The foreknowledge ends, concluding in a way that Sunan had never imagined. What's going on? I've been targeted. Sunan is both astonished and looks terrible. The people from the Destiny Society are fine. He entered and did nothing, yet died. This was the first time he had encountered the situation of being targeted by a piece of heaven and earth. Previously, the life wheel scripture spun frantically because someone was launching an attack on him at the level of fate. Now, he was targeted by heaven and earth. If one didn't know better, they would think he had committed some unforgivable crime. The final hint in the foreknowledge is that the curse of the ancient desolate relic is targeting the life wheel scripture within my body. Could it be that the life wheel scripture comes from the ancient desolate relic? Or, is it that the sect leader of the ancient wilderness sect cultivated the life wheel scripture? Or perhaps, the sect leader of the ancient wilderness sect once tried to forcibly break through to a higher realm using some forbidden secret technique from the life wheel scripture, only to be cursed by heaven and earth. One thought after another raced through his mind, startling Sunan himself. These were all possibilities. His life wheel scripture couldn't have been targeted for no reason. Now that it was targeted, it was most likely due to the ancient wilderness sect. And the ancient wilderness sect was implicated because their sect leader had used forbidden secret techniques. All these pieces of information connected, giving him much to think about. The ancient wilderness sect actually hails from an era called the Ancient Desolate. Could it be that the Ancient Desolate era was the last time the celestial fortune of heaven and earth had exhausted? Considering another bit of information mentioned in the foreknowledge, Sunan couldn't help but speculate again. If that were true, he even began to doubt whether the life wheel scripture also originated from that era named the Ancient Desolate. What should I do now? This time, he had arrived to deal with the Destiny Society, but now they had retreated deep into the Ancient Desolate relic, and he couldn't enter at all. The life wheel scripture. My life wheel scripture is still too weak. I must find a way to elevate the life wheel scripture further. His life wheel scripture is currently at the 3rd level. Breaking through from the 3rd level to the 4th level requires 1,500 points of demon power. He now has over 800 points of demon power, but he is still more than 600 points short of 1,500. Where would he get 600 points of demon power in a short time? No choice, if I can't go in, I have to let someone else in. Sunan's eyes flicker with thought, and he thinks of Luo Yu. Since he can't enter the ancient desolate relic, then he has no option but to send Luo Yu in. Luo Yu is at the peak king level, and with the support of a magical artifact, he even has the strength to contend with emperor-level fighters, barely enough for the task. Thinking this, he breathes a sigh of relief. He then looks at the islet that has emerged in the lake. The battle on the islet has now reached its climax. The powerful members of Shengxiu Gate and Demon Clan combatants are mutually constraining, while those king-level martial artists and demons quickly search the islet. Seeing this, Sunan takes out the Heavenly Demon Bone Umbrella and, using the power of the Heavenly Demon Bone Umbrella, blends into the void to hover above the islet. His gaze sweeps over the area, and soon he focuses on a sculpted figure at the center of the islet, one of the stone guardians in front of the Grand Hall. There's one on each side, the left guardian clad in battle armor, wielding a long sword, while the other holds a long spear. His gaze settles on the long spear. Soon enough, the raging battle between the Shangxiu Gate and Demon Clan spills over to this place. The powerful forces sweep across, shattering both statues instantly. Nothing. How can this be? How can there be nothing here? Someone finally notices the anomaly on the islet and exclaims incredulously. Others also echo, I've found nothing as well. I too. Upon hearing this, a group of emperor-level powerhouses ceased their actions, their power of divine soul sweeping over every inch of the land below, also finally realizing something. Damn it, no one could have gotten here first and taken everything away. The emperor-level powerful persons couldn't accept giving up, they had fought for half a day only to learn that everything here had already been taken by someone else. How could they be content with this? With the might of emperor-level power, they searched the island without missing an inch and eventually almost turned the entire island upside down. The result was disappointing, not to mention the inheritance of ancient mighty ones, they couldn't even find an item containing a trace of strength. 2 hours later, the Shangxiu Gate and Demon Clan's emperor level reluctantly had no choice but to give up and gradually started to leave. They're gone. They finally left. The players on the shore had been anxiously waiting, and seeing the strength of the two factions' powerful persons, they rushed towards the island like mad. Taking this opportunity, Su Nan disguised himself as an ordinary player and, along with the other players, set foot on the island. The group of players, like locusts, didn't rest until they had dug 3 feet into the ground everywhere they went, and indeed, that is just what they did. Many found nothing on the island and started to believe there must be treasures beneath it. One after another they began to dig down. Su Nan, pretending to search like the ordinary players, eventually arrived at the broken long spears. At this point, these 2 sections of the long spear had already passed through several hands, and after discovering they were just ordinary stone spears, each person had discarded them. Su Nan picked them up and after studying them for a moment, he couldn't figure anything out either. In his hands, this section of stone spear was just an ordinary piece of rock, even slight force on his part, and a section of the stone spear broke into 2 pieces. Is it still about fate? Looking at the long spear, he couldn't help wanting to take out the Xianhuang refining chi furnace and refine it a bit. But eventually, he suppressed this thought. Because he thought of another method and decided to give it a try. While unnoticed, he took out the heavenly demon bone umbrella, merged into the void, and slowly waited. Time quickly reached 12 hours later. By now, it was the rising of a bright sun in the game, the start of a new day. There were only a few left on the island who still clung to unrealistic hopes and continued to persist. Compared to before, the island had already become ruins by this time, a complete mess with not a single intact building. Su Nan quietly waited, and before long, a young man caught his attention. The young man had just arrived, seemingly attracted by something, and was continuously moving closer to the stone spear. It seems to be this guy. Su Nan perked up, ready for action. His plan was simple, he intended to use the essence and blood of the young man to perform 1,000 changes and 10,000 transmutations, transforming into the young man to try and pick up the stone spear. He did not know why the stone spear would choose the young man, but that did not matter, as long as he could replace him, he would have the same possibility of obtaining the inheritance. However, merely changing his appearance and aura would not be sufficient, the most critical aspect was something else. Fate pattern. Yet, obtaining the young man's fate pattern was simply impossible, as his life wheel scripture could only condense 3 fate wheels and not acquire someone else's fate pattern. Luckily, he had other methods at his disposal. With a flip of his hand, an item appeared in his grasp, it was a drop of essence and blood. It was the Saint-level Heavenly Race 1 drop of essence blood. The Saint-level Heavenly Race essence and blood possess the ability to graft destiny, capable of adding someone else's destiny onto myself, essentially draping me in a disguise. In my earlier foreknowledge, I used this ability to transfer the damage from the attack of a Heavenly Clan expert onto someone else. But that's definitely not the only use of the ability to graft destiny. If it were just damage transfer, it wouldn't be worthy of this Saint-level capability. Since it's grafting, I should be able to acquire all the fate pattern characteristics of the one I graft onto. This drop of essence and blood was exceptionally precious, if possible, he would not want to use it. Fortunately, one grafting would not completely deplete the essence and blood's strength. In the previous foreknowledge, he had managed to exhaust the strength of the essence and blood after grafting onto 3 demonic emperors consecutively. At present, just grafting to a spiritual level player should not consume too much. Thinking of this, he no longer hesitated, looked at the remaining foreknowledge times, and started foreknowing. Chapter 409. The Roar Within the Relic. You know that there is an inheritance left by an ancient powerhouse in the ruins at present, but this inheritance is not meant for anyone except those who are fated, and that fated person is an outsider who has just arrived. You don't plan to let go of this inheritance and prepare to try using 1,000 changes and 10,000 transmutations to transform into the appearance of that outsider, in an attempt to acquire the inheritance. A minute later, using the power of Divine Soul, you bewitch the outsider and take control of them, obtaining 1 drop of essence blood from their body, and combining the essence blood, you transform into the appearance of that outsider. After that, you use saint-level heavenly race essence blood and borrow the strength within the saint-level heavenly race essence blood to perform fate hijacking, transferring the fate of that outsider onto yourself. 2 minutes later, you come before the broken stone spear and pick it up, and it's at the moment you pick up the stone spear that it bursts into dazzling light, and a flood of information pours into your mind. Congratulations, you have acquired the inheritance of the ancient powerhouse. Perfect. Sunan's smile revealed at the corner of his mouth. It had not been in vain waiting for so long, it had not disappointed him. He continued reading, but the content below made his eyebrows furrow again. Just as you obtain the inheritance, a demonic emperor who had never left and was waiting in the shadows suddenly strikes at you. You are well prepared and take out the dragon-slaying sword to slash at the demonic emperor. The sword erupts with formidable strength, forcing the demonic emperor back. Without holding back, you employ universe in the sleeve and capture the demonic emperor within it. 3 minutes later, after reviewing the information on the inheritance, to your disappointment, you find that it contains only ancient scriptures and nothing of great value to you. Fortunately, upon a careful examination of the information in the inheritance, you realize that this inheritance is merely a qualification left by some powerful person, a qualification to enter another true land of inheritance. End of first prediction. Do you wish to continue? Great, after all that effort, I only got a qualification. Sunan's smile disappeared. This inheritance was made out to be so mysterious, not meant for just anyone, he had thought it contained something of great value. Never mind, a qualification is not bad after all, now I can only hope that the real land of inheritance contains something good. Sunan compromised, he now suspected that this inheritance was intended for ordinary people. And act according to the plan. A moment later, he had already transformed into the appearance of that player and arrived before the 2 segments of broken stone spear. The moment the stone spear was picked up, it shone brightly, instantly drawing the attention of everyone on the island. Congratulations, you have acquired the inheritance of the ancient powerhouse Deoxuanzi. Your human clan's luck increases by 300 points. 300 points of chi luck, definitely a fortune for ordinary players, but for Sunan, it's nothing much. Better than nothing. After all, it's just a qualification and strictly speaking, it's not the real inheritance. Sunan consoled himself. Congratulations, you have acquired the inheritance of Deoxuanzi, triggering the mainline task, please check the task panel. The mainline has appeared. Sunan was surprised, his disappointment instantly vanished. However, now was not the time to look at these, with no time to spare. He immediately severed the fate connection with the other player and then expelled the drop of heavenly race essence blood from his body. Fortunately, as he had thought, perhaps because the player's ream was too low, after performing a fate hijacking once, the strength in the essence blood was not much depleted, it was not a loss after all. And at that moment, a terrifying presence suddenly assailed him, the lurking demonic emperor made his move. His expression unchanged, he drew the dragon sword, with rolling strength flowing into it. He unleashed a slash, its brilliance tearing through the air, intending to rip the demonic emperor apart. Sensing the terrifying aura of the divine weapon, the demonic emperor's face changed, hastily defending and just barely managing to block the strike. A divine weapon! You are not an outsider, who are you? The demonic emperor exclaimed in shock and anger, staring intently at Sunan. Sunan couldn't be bothered to waste words with them, employing universe in the sleeve to capture them. Having done all this, he took out the heavenly demon bone umbrella once again and merged into the void. Inheritance. There really was an inheritance here. Damn it! Why didn't I get that inheritance? By the time Sunan disappeared, it took a while for the players on the island to come to their senses, each beating their chests and stomping their feet, as if they had missed out on millions. The news quickly spread in the regional chat, and when the players who had not been able to locate the inheritance learned that the ancient ruins at Hanley Lake truly contained an inheritance, they too were filled with regret. A couple of minutes later, a few more figures rushed over at high speed. Unfortunately, by this time, Su Nan had long vanished. Over 10 minutes later, tens of miles away from the lake, Su Nan silently shook his head. Shadow Concealment Spirit Technique. This was the only ancient scripture within the inheritance. A scripture actually quite decent. If cultivated, it could greatly improve a player's speed, and it also had the ability to conceal one's aura. But for Su Nan, this scripture wasn't even as valuable as the ancient scriptures that the 12 Zodiac had rewarded him with last time, with no worth in cultivating. Lifting his left hand, one could see a mark resembling a rune that had appeared on the back of his left hand. This was the mark of obtaining the qualification for the inheritance. The task panel appeared before him. Mainline task, Gi Sect's inheritance. In ancient times, the human clan had a great sect named Gi. The ancestor of Gi sect perceived heaven and earth, foresaw that in 10,000 years, a great calamity would come, so for the sake of posterity to overcome the calamity, the ancestor left behind an inheritance. The inheritance is divided into primary and secondary, with one unique primary inheritance and 100 secondary inheritances, not meant for anyone except those who are fated. Only when 100 secondary inheritors have all appeared will the primary inheritance be revealed, and obtaining 10 inheritances grants one the qualifications to enter the land of inheritance. First task, enter the Gi Sect's land of inheritance. Task difficulty, 1 star. Task reward, 30 demon points. Gi Sect, it's actually this section. Su Nan's eyes shimmered slightly, he knew of this sect. Previously, in the 9th layer of illusions at the ancient god tomb, he had learned quite a bit about information from ancient times, among which were the martial sects of the human clan. In the information he had acquired, there were 10 major sects of the ancient human clan, and the Great Sun Golden Body scripture that he cultivated belonged to one of them, the Great Sun sect. And this Gi sect was also one of the 10 great sects, with its fundamental scripture being the 9 Revolutions Gi scripture. It was said that by cultivating this ancient scripture to great accomplishment, one could fuse 9 different types of strength into one, forging a unique and terrifyingly powerful force. If I could obtain the inheritance of this sect, that wouldn't be bad, thought Su Nan, his interest growing significantly. This was a sect comparable to the mighty Great Sun sect. If he could obtain its inheritance, he would certainly gain a great amount of chi luck. Moreover, the ancient scripture of this sect seemed very interesting. Merging 9 different powers into one, to form a new strength. The powers he currently possessed were mixed, especially the power of his bloodline. If he could use the 9 Revolutions Gi scripture to merge the powers in his body, his strength would surely reach a new level. However, obtaining this inheritance in a short time seemed impossible. What I have now is a secondary inheritance, there are 100 such inheritances in total. Only when all 100 appear will the true inheritance emerge. I haven't heard of anyone receiving such a task before, perhaps my portion of the inheritance is the first. If that was the case, who knew how long it would take for all the secondary inheritances to appear? By then, he would probably have long since returned to Dongchen State. Moreover, to enter the land of inheritance, obtaining a qualification was not enough, one needed to get 10. However, according to the information obtained from the inheritance, these 10 qualifications did not require obtaining 10 inheritances. As long as one could kill those who had obtained an inheritance, one could also gain the qualifications. This meant that out of 100 inheritances, at most only 10 people could enter the ancestral land in the end. He did not have the time to search for those who obtained the inheritance and kill them to acquire the qualifications. Let's deal with those guys from Destiny Society first, this task isn't urgent, he decided. 6 hours later. Outside the ancient desolate ruins, Su Nan stood in the air. Wherever his gaze reached, there was a barren land. Not a single blade of grass grew here, appearing like a land of desolation. This region was vast, spanning across hundreds of miles, and one could vaguely see ancient buildings preserved from ancient times at intervals. Even standing outside the ruins, Su Nan felt an unsettling and chaotic sensation. Instinctively, he felt a repulsion towards these ruins. At his side, Luo Yu was staring at the remains of the ancient wilderness sect, his expression heavy. Is this the ancient desolate ruins? Have you heard of this place? Su Nan questioned. Luo Yu nodded, this sect perished very early in ancient times, leaving only these ruins behind. Back then, both the human and demon clans were very wary of this place. It is said that those who entered here would be plagued by bad luck and their chi luck would plummet. In the depths of these ruins, there are resentful spirits of the sect's disciples that have merged with the ruins and have become part of the curse. As long as they are within these ruins, they will not die and are very troublesome to deal with. Sunan nodded, he was aware of all of this. If possible, he would rather not come to this place either. A group of rats has entered here. I need you to go in and fetch them out for me. Rats. Luo Yu suddenly understood, finally realizing why Sunan had come here from Dongchen State. Are we going in now? No rush, let's wait, Sunan said. The personal information panel appeared before his eyes. It wasn't long before it would be midnight in reality. He decided to wait for the game to refresh and foreknow the situation before acting. At the same time, in the depths of the ancient desolate ruins, the core area of the ruins, not far away lay the real location of the ancient wilderness sect, where rows of ancient and dilapidated architectural remains stretched on. There, a towering altar had been erected. Soon. Very soon. As soon as this altar is fully completed, Wang Nan's death won't be far away. The people from Destiny Society were bustling about, and one could faintly see a great number of invisible entities struggling and howling atop the altar. These were the characteristic resentful spirits of the ancient desolate ruins. These people were using the resentful spirits to perform a secret technique. Are these enough? Lu Di asked from the side. The emperor-level ancestor stared at the resentful spirits bound upon the altar. These spirits were more than enough to deal with a king-level, even an emperor-level being. However, thinking of Wang Nan's strangeness, he said solemnly, Wang Nan is not someone we can deal with by ordinary means. Indeed, these resentful spirits may not be completely reliable. We still need to capture some more. Roar. As they were speaking, suddenly, a deep roar came from the depths of the ancient wilderness sect, causing everyone's expressions to stiffen. They all looked in the direction of the sound in unison. What on earth is that? Finally, Lu Di couldn't hold back his curiosity and asked. He had heard such low roars more than once during this period, and he noticed that as more resentful spirits were captured, the roars became more frequent. The ancestor remained silent for a moment, then said, that too is a resentful spirit. However, it is a resentful spirit that formed after the death of a powerful person. Also a resentful spirit. Lu Di frowned, seemingly disbelieving. He expressed his concern, by capturing these resentful spirits, we've already angered that thing. If we continue, might it not attack us? The ancestor shook his head and said, don't worry. In ancient times, a powerful person took action and trapped that thing in that region. It cannot leave. He continued, with a hint of regret, it's a pity, though. If we could bring that guy over here, even if Wang Nan broke through to emperor level, it would be easy to obliterate him. What sound is that? Meanwhile, outside the ancient desolate ruins, Sunan also faintly heard the low roar and couldn't help but be startled. Luo Yu said, it seems to be some sort of roar? Strange, could there be some beast inside the ruins? Sunan's expression became grave, and he couldn't shake an ominous premonition. The two waited. Over 10 minutes later, the time reached midnight in reality. The game refreshed, and the foreknowledge times were restored. In Dongchen State, Lang 13's Heavenly Demon Grand Ceremony's fourth elimination round also began, and this time it was a cut from 20 to 10. The Great Princess sighed, there are many strong individuals from all clans this time. I'm afraid it's not possible for me to make it into the top 10. Sunan flipped his hand and presented an item, saying, what if you had this? It was a green fruit. It was none other than the Talent Spirit Fruit. Talent Spirit Fruit. The Great Princess's eyes shone with excitement. The second princess, seeing this scene, couldn't help but feel envious. She also looked at Sunan with a yearning gaze. Sunan thought for a moment and took out another Talent Spirit Fruit, this is the last one. You really do have one. Seeing Sunan produce another fruit, the second princess immediately became unsettled. She then quickly snatched it with joy, not caring where Sunan got so many Talent Spirit Fruits from. Watching the once proud Green Wolf Demon King now showing the side of a young girl, Sunan couldn't help but shake his head slightly. The task panel appeared before him, and he quickly glanced at today's tasks. Daily Task 1, Rescue a Demon Beast. Task Difficulty, 3 stars. Daily Task 2, Explore the Ancient Desolate Ruins. Task Difficulty, 3 stars. Daily Task 3, Hunt a Demonic Emperor. Task Difficulty, 3 stars. These were Wang Nan's tasks. Not surprisingly, as they had contact with the ancient desolate ruins, the corresponding tasks refreshed. Then he looked at Zhang Yang's tasks. Daily Task 1, Hunt an Emperor-level Demon Beast. Task Difficulty, 3 stars. Daily Task 2, Hunt a King-level Demonic Beast. Task Difficulty, 2 stars. Daily Task 3, Dissolve the Curse of the Ancient Desolate Ruins. Task Difficulty, 4 star. A 4-star task. Su Nan fixated on the third task, quite surprised. Even though his true body was far away in East Chen, the role of Zhang Yang still refreshed tasks related to the ancient desolate ruins. This might be related to the prior foreknowledge, or perhaps because he had recently switched roles after turning the life wheel scripture. But none of that mattered. What was important was that he simply could not complete this task. Chapter 410. 4 days later. Break the curse? What a joke! Su Nan frowned. The curse of the ancient desolate ruins had existed for who knows how many tens of thousands of years. If curses were so easily broken, they wouldn't persist until now. Previously, his foreknowledge didn't even allow him entry into the deepest part of the ancient desolate ruins. His true body in Dongchen state was killed by the curse. This task was 4 star, but he seriously doubted it. This task could even reach the level of 5 star. Ignoring this task, he continued to look at Lang 13's mission. Compared to Wang Nan and Zhang Yang's tasks, Lang 13's mission still saw no change, the only difference being the ranking requirements for the Heavenly Demon Grand Ceremony had been raised again. Let's start the foreknowledge. The number of foreknowledge times had refreshed, and he could foresee now. Foreknowledge began, and on the panel, a whopping 80 chances vanished instantly. 4 days later, this time, he foresaw something that would happen 4 days from now. You arrive at the ancient desolate ruins. In these ruins there is a group of outsiders from another world who plan to use the curse within the ruins against you. You plan to eliminate them. But you know that the curse of the ancient desolate ruins is also a great threat to you. You dare not enter personally and decide to send Luo Yu in. Under your command, Luo Yu enters the ruins with a magical artifact. 4 hours later, Luo Yu returns, telling you that among these outsiders, there is an emperor-level powerhouse. This emperor-level powerhouse has many tricks up his sleeve. Even with a magical artifact, Luo Yu merely managed to disrupt the ritual he set up, failing to kill the emperor-level powerhouse and instead allowing him to escape deeper into the ruins. He escaped. Seeing this, Su Nan was somewhat disappointed. However, as long as he could disrupt the ritual set up by the Destiny Society, temporarily averting the crisis, that was also good news. You realize that those from the outside world will not give up so easily and will certainly strike at you again. You decide to quickly level up the life wheel scripture and personally enter the ruins. Leaving the ancient desolate ruins, you plan to hunt for emperor-level demonic beasts to strengthen your Sky Demon Devouring God Sutra. 12 hours later, you learn that in the northern part of Tianjua province there is a valley known as Panyan Valley where demon beasts have appeared. 16 hours later, you arrive at Panyan Valley and after some searching, you finally find only one demon beast. Regrettably, this demon beast is only king level. Luckily, after some coercion, you learn from it that 500 miles away from Panyan Valley, in a place called the Wanchuan Mountain Range, there is an ancient times great demon suppressed. 1 day later, your true body enters the top 5 in the selection of the Heavenly Demon Grand Ceremony, and your avatar finally fully merges with the innate demon chi. Congratulations, your avatar has successfully reversed its nature and become an innate demon, awakening its racial talent. The racial talent you awakened is a terrifying devouring ability. It allows you to devour the strength of all spirits in the world and use their strength for yourself. After some trials, you find that by devouring the powers of demons and outsiders, you can directly enhance your bloodline power, and even increase your chi luck. The innate demon chi has finally fully integrated. Su Nan's eyes brightened. Calculating the time, it had been 7 days since he had begun merging with the innate demon chi. Looking at the acquired ability, he couldn't help but be inwardly shocked. To devour all spirits to increase one's strength. Obviously, the ability to awaken such a racial talent had an inseparable relationship with the Sky Demon Devouring God Sutra. Even chi luck can be devoured, this ability seems a bit overpowered. Although during the Luck Child mission, by slaying beings with higher chi luck than his own, he could obtain a portion of the other's chi luck. The enhancement of strength was not as rapid as chi luck. When chi luck exceeded the corresponding strength, it became much harder to gain chi luck. Now, with this ability to devour chi luck, it meant that, if he was willing, he could acquire the chi luck of others without limit. Whether it was from beings with higher chi luck or lower chi luck. If only I could also refine the destruction demon eye. Sunan thought of the destruction demon eye, which could also melt into the innate demon chi. Previously, his strength wasn't enough. Although he had turned the destruction demon eye into innate demon chi, he had not been able to melt the memory consciousness belonging to the destruction demon eye. Now, possessing the supreme divine soil, he was able to rally the strength of others within the divine soil. Perhaps there was a chance for complete melting. Thinking this, Sunan made a plan. 1.5 days later, after some effort, you finally find an early-stage emperor-level demonic beast under the suppression of an ancient formation in the Wanchuan mountain range. After devouring it, the Sky Demon Devouring God Sutra of your avatar enters the 5th level. Your avatar's strength soars again, surpassing the strength of a common emperor-level demonic beast. 2 days later, the selection for the Heavenly Demon Grand Ceremony enters its final day. Without holding back, your true body wins first place with powerful strength, shocking all of the demon clan. After enough accumulation, your life wheel scripture levels up, entering the 4th layer. You acquire a new ability that allows you to exchange chi luck for a brief period of good fortune. Exchange chi luck for good fortune. I finally have a method to change luck. Sunan's lips curved into a smile. The ability to temporarily change luck doesn't seem like much and doesn't have a direct effect on increasing strength. But to Sunan, such ability could have many ingenious uses. If he had this ability to exchange chi luck for good fortune when he passed through the space rift, why would he have needed to waste so many foreknowledge times? With this ability, maybe I can go through the space rift to any state in the future. The breakthrough in life wheel scripture gave you confidence to withstand the curse in the ancient desolate ruins, and you tried to let your avatar enter the ruins. As you expected, although your avatar faced the attack of the curse as it entered deeper into the ancient desolate ruins, you successfully defended against the curse's power with the 4th layer of life wheel scripture. However, when you entered the core area of the ancient desolate ruins, resentful spirits of the disciples from ancient wilderness sect converged on you, intent on tearing you to shreds. As a part of the curse, these resentful spirits also targeted you, but fortunately, your strength was great, and you did not fear these spirits. However, as you continued to fight, you heard a roar coming from deep within the ancient wilderness sect's ruins. Curious, you followed the sound. Soon you arrived at the ultimate location of the ancient desolate ruins, and in a cave, you finally found the source of that sound. Deep in the cave, you saw a huge altar being constructed, with several members of the Destiny Society bustling about. Your arrival startled the members of the Destiny Society. Knowing they were no match for you, an emperor-level old man made a decisive move and, using some unknown method, released a certain being. As that being was released, the life wheel scripture inside your true body spun wildly, and almost simultaneously, your avatar and the members of the Destiny Society were blasted to death. With the death of your avatar, it transformed back into the origin of the technique and returned to your true body, while your second divine soul was summoned back to the demon abyss. Hiss! What is that thing? Sunan was shocked. His avatar had already transformed into a primordial demon beast, and the Sky Demon Devouring God Sutra had even reached the 5th level, yet it was still killed in an instant. Such strength was beyond even the peak emperor level. Only a saint level. There exists a saint level in the ancient desolate ruins. Those guys from Destiny Society really aren't afraid of death. Watching the mad actions of the Destiny Society in the foreknowledge, Sunan couldn't help shaking his head. It seems that next time I go in, I absolutely cannot give Destiny Society the chance to release that being. A fight to the death is not my style. The avatar was dead, but the foreknowledge was far from over. 3 days later, the Heavenly Demon Hall opens. You, along with many other demons who have qualified, enter the Heavenly Demon Hall to pay homage to the Demon King stone statue. During this process, some lucky individuals receive the power from the carvings on the stone pillars in the Great Hall, awakening their bloodline talents. After the homage is over, the ancestral land of the demon clan opens. You and over 10 other qualified demon geniuses enter the ancestral lands. Your luck is not good. Just as you enter the ancestral lands, you find yourself in a perilous region and only finally escape using across the heavens shift. Seeing the dangers of the ancestral lands, you do not dare to be reckless and cautiously explore. During this time, you encounter an outsider. 4 days later, you and 5 other demon geniuses regroup, ready to go to the deepest part of the demon clan ancestral land to obtain the heavenly demon inheritance. The depths of the heavenly race ancestral land are the graveyards of certain powerful entities that lived in the past, filled with resentful demons formed from the remnant souls of these mighty beings. On the way, you pass towering graves, and occasionally, terrifying beings strike at you from within. Your strengths are great, and through mutual cooperation, you manage to reach the deepest part of the ancestral lands, battered but unscathed, and see a massive stone hall. A minute later, just when you think you have successfully escaped the crisis brought by the resentful demons, an inconspicuous great tomb behind you suddenly cracks open, and a peak emperor-level resentful demon appears. Everyone is horrified and makes for the stone hall immediately, but the speed of the resentful demon far surpasses yours. With no choice left, you each employ your own techniques. 2 minutes later, the group is ultimately no match for the resentful demon and scatters in all directions. You, however, find that the resentful demon seems attracted to something on you, and it pursues you. 3 minutes later, unable to resist the resentful demon, you take out the heavenly demon bone umbrella, hoping to blend into the void with it and escape the resentful demon. But as you take out the heavenly demon bone umbrella, the ancestral land of the demon clan shakes, numerous resentful demons appear, attracted by it, and launch an assault on you. You die. The foreknowledge ends. This was the longest foreknowledge Sunan had ever experienced since playing the game. It was full of information, giving him a rough understanding of what would happen in the 4 days to come, which was of immense significance to him. All resentful demons attacking me? What's going on? Sunan was surprised. The heavenly demon bone umbrella was related to the heavenly demon, of this, he was certain. But he hadn't expected that taking it out in the demon clan ancestral land would cause such a change. Unfortunately, the foreknowledge did not give him any clue, leaving him with too little information to guess. Until I figure out the reason, it seems I can only avoid using the heavenly demon bone umbrella in the demon clan ancestral land as much as possible. Glancing at the ancient desolate ruins before him, he took out the demon sword and handed it to Luo Yu. Despite not having dealt with that emperor level from Destiny Society, what needed to be done still had to be done. An hour later, inside the ancient desolate ruins, watching the altar near completion, the emperor-level 5th ancestor's mouth curled into a smile. Currently, the number of resentful spirits bound invisibly on the altar had increased by a quarter compared to before. Just a few more resentful spirits to go, and we can begin. This time it's foolproof, even with a trace of the Supreme Treasure's power, that Wang Nan will not escape this disaster. The 5th ancestor was full of confidence. Beside him, Lu Di eyed the names on the ranking list, his eyes also filled with anticipation. Although he had no interactions or enmity with Wang Nan, witnessing the fall of someone who was ranked ahead of him was still a joyous event. He would be in the top 3 from now on. And this was just the beginning. Once the Destiny Society took care of Zhang Yang and Lang 13 as well, he would be number 1. Imagining this, Lu Di looked forward eagerly. Suddenly, the 5th ancestor saw something and turned around abruptly. A figure of a young man appeared, walking slowly toward them. It was Luo Yu. Demon Beast. The 5th ancestor immediately sensed the aura on Luo Yu and his expression changed. However, he soon realized that Luo Yu was only at the king level and he let out a sigh of relief. How did a demon beast get in here? The 5th ancestor wondered. This region was cursed by heaven and earth. Under normal circumstances, no one would come here, let alone a demon beast. The 5th ancestor stared at Luo Yu without speaking. Luo Yu didn't waste words either. He took out the demon sword and attacked directly. How brazen! Seeing Luo Yu's direct approach, the 5th ancestor was angered. Without holding back, he attacked with all his might, intending to blast Luo Yu to smithereens as fast as he could. However, Luo Yu fueled the demon sword, unleashing terrifying power. After a short fight, although many members of the Destiny Society were killed, Luo Yu had not suffered any injury. The expression on the 5th ancestor's face turned ugly. By now, he could tell that Luo Yu had come specifically for them. We do not know your excellency, so why do you oppose us? The 5th ancestor asked coldly. Luo Yu sneered, someone told me to come and kill you. Someone told him to come and kill us? Hearing this, everyone present was shocked. Who would want to kill them? Could it be Wang Nan? For a moment, a name unconsciously surfaced in everyone's mind, but they all shook their heads immediately. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. How could a demon beast possibly heed the words of a player to kill them, especially since they were in Tianzhu province and Wang Nan was in Dongchen state? Far away, having distanced himself from the battlefield at the start of the battle, Lu De was also startled by Luo Yu's words. However, he quickly dismissed the thought of Su Nan, just like the others. What they didn't realize was that Su Nan had indeed come, and he was right outside the ancient desolate ruins. Congratulations, you have completed the daily task. Enter the top 20 of the Heavenly Demon Grand Ceremony, and 45 demon power points have been awarded. Congratulations, you have completed the daily task. An hour later in Dongchen State, his true body had already completed Lang 13's task. He didn't idle after that, finishing the tasks of hunting demons for Wang Nan and Zhang Yang. 2 demonic emperors and 1 demon king brought a total of 210 demon power points into his account. His usable demon power finally broke into 4 digits, reaching 1055 points. With so much demon power, according to the previous plan, I can now cultivate the first layer of the 4 seasons life wheel scripture. Regrettably, at present, it's time again to need the life wheel scripture. I must prioritize enhancing the life wheel scripture.